champagne or girly drinks. We drink beer and beer and beer, beer, beer. No
Yeah,
champagne
baby.
or girly drinks. We drink beer and beer and beer, beer, beer.
Wow. Well, that was interesting. I decided to do a little bit of a loop action. Was not expecting that, but that's the life in a live world. Things that take place. Uh, Hold on one second. Got a little technical thing there. Voices. You might hear no voices. Those voices just in my head. Just let me know. Anyway, tonight is a special beer spotlight live stream. So welcome in. I'm going to be bringing a man to the stage. One of the young guns out there actually doing some good things there. We're going to bring up Chase, who is Nutmeg2Palmetto. We'll get into all that kind of stuff here. So if you haven't checked him out, make sure to check him out on his channel. I have a pinned comment in the comment section. We're going to take you right to the link and scroll that across the bottom so you can check him out as well and also see the information there. That being said, let's go ahead and bring him up to the stage. My man Chase in the house. What is going on, my friend?
Joining a legend. My turn.
Great to have you on board for another spotlight that we're going to actually share and bring the spotlight. So I have to get the spotlight out for you there so we get you all highlighted, right? So there we go. Okay. Put you in the spotlight in the background. Little that don't know Chase. Nutmeg2Palmetto. 258 subs last I saw on the channel. It's in the video, so he's putting the work in, and then 83,000 plus views right now. So you started the channel back March 5 of 2022. So your plans are working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, how'd you see my analytics? I can't figure out seeing my own analytics.
Where I live, and I get to all kinds of stuff. And it's part of being a legend, so to speak.
That is true.
I have ways to find out my information. Yeah, we got Shane in the house as well. Yeah, it was like some crazy audio took place there. We got it all fixed. There. I wasn't using a voice changer on purpose, but it came up weird. Having like a robot sound. I don't know.
You sound like you're in the witness protection program.
Do I sound like I got some audio thing right now happening? Let me check here. You might have screwed my voice mod for some reason. Let's see. Maybe it's possible right now. Don't worry. Do I sound better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. Voice mod decided to mess around the system. That's why we were having issues earlier on. So there we go. So now, again, these are the things you run into with some of the technical difficulties sometimes, but
it would be me. It would be me.
Yeah. When I heard the voice playback earlier, I was like, it did sound kind of robotic, so I didn't know what was happening, but thought it might have been the system.
First, since you said that, for Shane, domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Now it's gonna be stuck in his head. I know he's singing it right now there in Canada. So. But welcome. Welcome to the live stream. And actually, I was thinking about it earlier for the spotlight. You're actually the first person to be on the spotlight that I actually met before I actually had on YouTube. Like all the other spotlights, we all did stuff video, and then I ended up meeting them later. Now there'll be others that'll be on here. Some of the other guys that were up there, I'll do their spotlights and stuff. But it's funny. You're a trendsetter. You're the first one I've actually met in person. And I said, you know what? Let's bring them up here. So,
I am a trendsetter.
So, what I like to do with these, and for people that are watching, they kind of know as well, it's kind of just, talk about what you're doing on your channel, how you got into beer, some of the beer stuff you're actually seeing out there. I know you're venturing into some other things, so we'll talk about some of that stuff as well. But yeah, you started the channel back March 5th, 2022. And what made you decide to start a YouTube channel? What got you going there?
you can blame the constant peer pressure of one Wayne's beer delivery for that one. 'Cause I had all my Instagram and TikTok I had started a year prior. So the YouTube was a late bloomer platform to me.
Hmm.
And it's funny, like I've really enjoyed YouTube because our community that we've kind of built and gotten close with one another,
Hmm.
it's a lot more close knit. Like, yes, there's a lot of people on Instagram and social media I'm close to, but not other than like my immediate local friends. It's not like we're pulling and meeting up from all sorts of places around the country. Like YouTube, it didn't take much of an excuse to start this annual get together that we do, and once you attend one of them, you never want to miss another one. So I think that just speaks volume to what the creators are like on YouTube as far as building their community.
Yeah. And you just basically and Wayne's got a good channel stuff that he's actually doing there too, but you kind of jumped all in and kind of got after it, and next thing you know, you're kind of a snowball effect, right? Like it's just one thing to another to another.
Yeah, like, and I always hear, I always hear everyone because they're always like, oh, watch my videos now and watch my videos when I first started. They don't look anything alike. But but I kind of don't think of myself like that. I mean, yeah, there's like little fringe things I've changed, but because my background being in video production, I kind of already had an idea going in of what I want to do and how I wanted the channel to look and the reviews to look and how to changing shots. And I wasn't the typical YouTuber going in blind and just seeing what worked.
Yeah. And you put on there as your headline there. Of course, you are one of the Chuggy winners to actually be on here as well. So I have a welcome to the live stream on mine, but it's a short list, but you're on that list, which is a great thing. So best intro was great to see you get that award, and the award ceremony in itself. I mean, you almost got us all choked up in the room there, but it was great to see the success and the recognition there.
Yeah. Am I ever gonna live that one down? I don't know.
I don't know if you will. It was like when it was like when Cuba Gooding won the Oscar for Jerry Maguire, how excited and stuff he got the crowd pumped up, and it was a heartfelt speech that you had there, which was good. It was good to see, because it does mean something when you get recognized by peers on stuff, right? So
it does, and almost I think the point that I was trying to get to in that, whether I did or not is another story, I guess. But I think what I was trying to get out through all that emotion was the fact that in my day-to-day profession, there's a lot of I don't want to say who you blow, but like a lot of favoritism.
Oh, this ain't Hollywood. This ain't Pete at his house. Yeah. I'm just saying.
No, what was his name? No, Weinstein.
Yeah, Weinstein, Harvey. Yeah, that guy.
But there's a lot of favoritism, sometimes pseudo nepotism. Like you can, and another thing with TV as a profession is when you start doing something and you wind up getting really good at it, they kind of just leave you there. Like,
you get typecast.
We know this person is good at that. We know this person's reliable. We don't want to risk someone else doing it and screwing it up, because when you're watching a game on TV and there's a graphic wrong, or the camera cuts to the camera is still moving in mid shot or something like that, doesn't look good. So TV has a lot of, once someone's good in a position, you just leave them there. And that's not necessarily good for young professionals trying to, build themselves up and advance their careers and ambitions and whatnot. So I kind of got stuck in a particular spot because I was good at it. And everyone recognized I was good at it, but I was watching people coming in behind me and they would elevate past me at a faster pace because they would just kind of start out doing entry level stuff and slowly progress their way up, as opposed to finding a niche they were good at and wound up making, like the technician stuff, you wind up making more money. So
Mm-hmm.
then it's kind of like, okay, this, you asked to be advanced, like, well, you got to go back to this, and it's going to be making a lot less money. So I don't know if you want to do that. So he's like, well, what do I do then?
Yeah.
Like I either take a step backward, take a step forward, but I may not make enough money to support myself, or I keep doing this and I can support myself fine, but I'm just going to be stuck here forever, and this is my ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think anyone likes the idea of a ceiling at 24 or 25.
No, most will not. That's true. That's true. So you got to have room to grow for sure. Vanessa had commented, growth of presentation is always that way, to change over time, show your improvements in direction. Yeah, so you definitely grow, and over time you definitely get that improvement there. And anything that kind of stops you from being able to do that, to me, is detrimental, right? So then you have to make a decision whether you want to be in that or not. So initially, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. So initially, because you're kind of in a, what do I say? I would say you're like at a cross point in that, but you're still aboard the majority beer channel, but you decided to dip your toes in a few other things. But with the channel itself, I still think, I don't know what, like 80% is probably still beer that you're actually doing it.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of reviews that I've shot recently in the can that I got to edit. So there's more coming.
So beer will still be like the main focus, I'm thinking, of the channel, but we got you to think about trying to, as I said, dip your toes into some other stuff, because you're doing some sports stuff on there, you're doing some movie stuff on there, and a thing with YouTube, sometimes if you end up, it's almost like craft beer, right? If you overextend, people forget about something. So I'm just curious, like, was it just another passion you had for these other areas as well? You want to bring them to the viewers and kind of get it mixed in? Are you having beers when you're doing the movie reviews? You're probably having beers while you're doing the sports stuff. So,
actually, they're really offshoots to be independent of beer. Like I don't want to walk away from beer completely because of the communities I've grown. But at the end of the day, I want to continue to do stuff with the channel, but not necessarily be so reliant on something that's not always necessarily the best health ramifications. I kind of look at myself in the mirror some days, and I'm like, oh, I'm putting on too much weight. I gotta do something about that. So I'm, as I moved into the new place, I got a bicycle. So eventually I'm gonna get an arm on the handlebar, so I can live stream the rides.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'll do a Fitness Friday segment with weights and that sort of thing, and then so I want to it's still like once in a while still throw up a beer review, so I still kind of feel in touch with the community, but at the same time I want to do all these other stuff, so I'm not necessarily putting my health at risk, but I don't want to necessarily be putting myself in a negative physical situation for the sake of content.
Right. No, and that's a wise way to actually do it, because one of the things I always talk about is moderation is a key type thing as well. So you have to make sure you're definitely checking your health first and not over drinking too much, obviously, right? So when you're doing a lot of these things, and I've seen a lot of people that you can just tell watching some of the videos where it's like, you can see them just expanding it's like, you need to pull back some, take some weeks off, do some exercise, do some balance and stuff like that. So like for myself, usually it's do that Thursday, we do the live stream, and then I'll do the reviews maybe towards the weekend, but usually during the week, I don't really drink anything as much. I will tonight because I'm doing this, but but it's also a matter of where you're actually putting it out there. So for people that are enjoying alcohol, it's always good to make sure you know what you're actually taking in. But then, because I was going to get to it later on, but since we're actually there, so where are you like with the NA beers? Are you trying any of those? Are you bringing those to your channel? Have you started messing around? Because that's become a hot topic for a lot of the beer tubers as well.
I feel like, especially now with the kind of trying to like keep beer in the mix, but not do it as much, I may focus more on kind of gimmicky topics for beer. So like, January is the dry January. I may hoard up some NAs and do a couple weeks worth of reviews for that. Or if obviously we're kind of missed the mark for this season, but going forward, I may focus more. Okay, fall comes around, do a week of Oktoberfest. October comes around, do a week of pumpkin beers. You know what I mean? So like I may, as far as what the aspect of beer is going to be on my channel, I may keep it to more of those kind of gimmicky things where okay, this particular style is really in vogue, for lack of a better word, for this time of the year. So I'll bring the beer back for that. You know what I mean?
Well, you do have Sober October, so you can, if you wanted to, get some stuff going in there for October as well. So, in fact, for myself, because I'm not really working with them, kind of affiliate with them, but like Athletic and Go Brewing, I'm actually putting stuff out for those guys a little bit if people want to try out their beers to kind of get that NA. And then I just got with one of the mocktail companies as well. So there are the opportunities to be able to share that. So for anybody that's watching and you're curious about doing that stuff, down in the description, if you scroll down, you'll see links for different NA beers. You'll see the Go Brewing link, which if you wanted to get Go Brewing, if you use the promo code Rajay BeerVentures, you'll get 15% off. But there's also a link for Athletic Brewing, and then there's also stuff that I got down there for some of the other stuff I'll be adding. So lots of good opportunity. And I find myself at points during the week where I might grab an NA beer because I want a beer, but I don't want to have a beer. And that's a nice little feel because they've gotten so much better now than they have over the years.
Especially Athletic. And from my hometown, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Originally, so I know now the cans all say Milford, which is the next town over. But when they first started, they were in Stratford. So
yeah. But Vanessa asks, doesn't New Year's Day put a damper on dry? Not really, because the way they do dry January, they have alcohol before midnight. When midnight hits, they can't have alcohol after that. So
that's right. So get your toast in 2 minutes early.
Yeah, you should see them between 11 and 12. It gets crazy. It's like George Costanza on Seinfeld trying to escape the fire, just running people over, trying to get back to the bar. Classic episode if you ever watch Seinfeld, by the way.
But that's like I think of like shows that I watched growing up. Seinfeld, I could not understand growing up. But I watch it now, and I find it absolutely hysterical.
Because you're older now, probably.
It makes sense.
The jokes in a little bit more.
But the counter to that is Frasier. I don't know why. I used to really enjoy Frasier when I was younger, and I watch it now, and I just find it completely pretentious.
Well, he was a pretentious character for sure. Yeah, he was, definitely was. The funny thing with Seinfeld now, according to things you'll see, like Seinfeld and I think it was Friends, a couple other shows, like a lot of the younger generation kind of find those shows offensive now. I don't know if you knew that or not, because of like some of the jokes and stuff and like the things on there, the soup Nazi and all kinds of, like, those were hilarious things. I mean, I still laugh at them now when I see them, but
people need to know, like, it's comedy. If comedy doesn't offend someone, it's not comedy, and it's not going to be funny. You just gotta suck it up and deal with it.
Well, that's what I told people before. It's like at the butt of every joke, somebody got embarrassed or feeling like all the jokes are always going back to something happening to somebody when you think about breaking them all the way down. So somebody's always should be offended by something, but it's just that's the humor of it. And if you don't laugh at the humor of it, you end up, not getting out of your system or losing it. It's just like, it's a good way to get that stuff out of there. So, I mean, right now, all the jokes have been about P. Diddy lately. I've been laughing my ass off. I mean, I feel bad because it was an unfortunate situation that happened to some people, but some of the comedians are having a field day. So. But do you want to crack open a beer? You got a beer there? You want to crack open and enjoy it while we're talking?
I have 4 here because I know I told you a couple days ago because I kind of wanted to run the gamut. So I have something crispy, I have something hoppy, I have something dark, and I have something festive for the time of the year we're in. So I can start with whatever you want to start with.
Whatever you want to start with. I mean, it's more talking about you and everything like that, but if you want to talk about the beer you have there that you want to share with people, that's fine too. So
well, then I'll start off with a gimmick and put on my gas station sunglasses.
Oh, look at that. There you go. I thought I was going to play Bad to the Bone or something for you there.
Bad to the bone. These are so everything I have is local, and everything I have is from places I've developed relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's from Magnetic South. They have 2 locations. They're they got a little bit of money behind them. So I was under the impression that one of my friends who's the owner is like the principal owner. But he's actually got 2 silent partners as well. If anyone were to check them out, check their website out.
Okay.
So he's got kind of 2. I guess they're not really silent owners if they're on the website, but I mean, I don't know who they are. If I saw them on the street, I wouldn't know them from any other Tom, Dick, or Harry. So the principal, the owner that I know, he's kind of more the owner, but more on the brewing side.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has a head brewer, the other brewer there, who is technically the head brewer, female brewer, and she does a lot there. She does a lot as far as the recipes are concerned as well. But they've got 2 locations. They started down in Anderson, which is south of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they opened a second location up in Greenville. They were going to open up a third one by Clemson, but I don't think that one didn't actually wind up happening. But I figured start off the show with something light.
There you go. What's the ABV on that one? You said, or did you say?
Yeah. What kind of beer reviewer am I? I should probably say that.
Well, just so you said light, it made me think about that. Like, did I miss that?
Yeah, 5.6 American light lager.
Okay, there you go.
A little steam coming off.
That's a pretty good pour. That's robust right there.
Oh, I'm Team Hard Pour.
You are Team Hard Pour. I got to talk to y'all about that at some point, but yeah.
Shane, back me up in the comments. Come on now.
If it's nitro, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
So I'm actually just drinking a Hofbräu, which I'll have a review of. I never did a review on the channel about that beer, so I'm going to have a review coming up for that one. Yeah.
That's my favorite style.
It's the week of Oktoberfest. I'm surprised you don't have an Oktoberfest beer right there.
I do. I do have one in there.
You do? Okay. That might be the festive one. That might have been the I may have ruined a surprise for people. So
dang it, Rod, come on.
So yeah. There you go.
It's got some cloudiness to it. You can't totally see me.
Kind of a dirty pale, so to speak.
Yeah. The dirty blonde around.
Shane, you gotta type all caps, my friend. Don't gotta yell at everybody. you and Brian. But so why that actually settles in for you? Do you remember with the first beer you ever had and any memories with it? Like
overall,
the first beer.
It was a Foster's oil can.
Foster's oil can. Okay. And how did you have that? How did you come upon?
Oh, a family friend of mine bought it for me when I turned 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the local gas station, or were you at a
Oh no,
convenience store? Was it?
It was just at my house. I just had it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I didn't say you'd have to be legally. I didn't know if you had anything before then, but just the first.
If I did, I don't remember it.
It must have been a good time. Must have been a real good time.
It might surprise you to know, but socializing hasn't always been the thing that's come easy to me. So
yeah,
I can't say I had a lot of wild high school parties.
I didn't have a lot of wild as well. I mean, actually, it wasn't pretty much more in the college when I started doing a lot more than when I was doing in high school. Maybe towards like senior year doing some different stuff, but I was like a nerd, but I was also an athlete. So I was kind of like, I didn't really go to a lot of parties but nobody really messed with me because I was like one of the athletes that played like football and track for a few years. So it was kind of like, I was able to kind of navigate through the worlds, but it wasn't like I was getting all the invites to go to the big parties and stuff.
You know what? I pick up on what you're putting down because I was not an athlete, but I had a lot of athlete ties. Like
Mhm.
I worked close with the basketball team. I actually did play 2 years as an alternate on the golf team.
Mhm.
So I was close with a lot of the athletes, and I had a lot of the nerdy interests as well. So I pick up the vibe you're putting out.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
That the navigating, like able to navigate, so you're not the brunt of everyone's jokes, but at the same time, no one's still inviting you out to parties.
yeah, yeah. I could play football or basketball and that, but I would also play D&D. So I was in
Yeah.
the chess. I was in the chess club when I was younger and stuff too. So yeah, it's a wide array of different stuff in the background, which is
Mhm.
fine. It makes you more well rounded, in my opinion. But yeah.
I remember a childhood friend of mine. We didn't grow up near each other, but our mothers were friends, so we would hang out. And
Hmm.
there was some weekend, a bunch of people went up, and we all stayed in Vermont, and they were playing D&D, and it was like old school D&D where it was just like books and graphing paper, like you build the specs on all your characters and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like I'm a visual person, so I'm sitting there and I'm looking how they're like doing this with like the numbers, like, oh, I'm power this or I'm strength that. I'm like, this is boring as sin. What are you guys doing?
The funny thing is you mentioned that, and it was like, yeah, it was the graph. I don't know why we couldn't use regular notebook paper, but it was the graphing paper when we'd actually do that to do our characters and roll the dice to get the abilities and all of that. I don't know. That's what it was at that time. So maybe that's one of the other reasons I like watching Stranger Things, because they're like when they were playing Dungeons and Dragons back in the day too. So yeah.
I like how Stranger Things kept a lot of those 80s references true
Mm,
to the 80s and 90s. Like it wasn't like you don't watch that show and see some nostalgic throwback reference and think like that's a square peg in a round hole. Like, no, that's not how this went down.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it was a fun time, kind of. I mean, it was a mix of stuff. Like sometimes you look back, like now where you're at now in life, it's kind of like you could have done this back then, but you didn't. But then everything you didn't do made you who you are today. So it's kind of hard to have regrets about it, right? Because now you turn into what you actually are here. But going back to the Foster's oil can. So what was your first take on it when you had it? Was it kind of like sometimes when people first get beer, they were like, "What is this? Why am I drinking this? Like doesn't taste good at all." Like, did you have that kind of response?
No, I that's exactly what it was. I didn't like if I tried if that was my response to beer as far as like every beer going forward until now, I definitely wouldn't be drinking beer.
Yeah, yeah.
Although craft actually did bring me back to beer because I was kind of over. I like cocktails and stuff too, and bourbon and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And before craft really became a thing, I was just kind of like, whatever, beer's whatever. So if I'm gonna drink, I'll drink a cocktail or something neat, um, in opposition instead of a beer. So
No, I mean that definitely makes sense because at the time in the mid '90s, when I was leaving college, I used to bartend when I was in college, and we used to make a lot of like Jack Daniel's drinks, and they were like really huge. With the Lynchburg lemonades came out, and different specials they had, Long Island iced teas, the Sex on the Beaches, all the margarita, all different drinks you would think of making in college.
yeah,
And it was kind of like we would sit there and we would do like Crown Royal shots, waiting for the bar to open, right? So we were used to drinking more cocktails, and there wasn't really the craft beer where we were yet on the East Coast. I mean, you had stuff if you're out west where you had like some of the Sierra Nevada stuff like that, but it didn't reach really where we were. And so it was more like, Bud or Miller back then, Red Dog, different stuff like that, but it wasn't a craft. And then by the time craft really came around in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was kind of like, I could just drink the bourbon over here. I'll drink a Jack and Coke or something like that and everything. And then, but that leads into the other question. Mm-hmm.
You bring up your college days. I feel obligated to country road, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Mountain Mama, take me home.
Chase is bringing on all the stops tonight, folks. Give you applause on that one. That was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I almost had a heart attack watching West Virginia football on Saturday too, but that's a whole different thing. Just when I think we're going to fire the coach, he pulls out a win. Like, we got to keep him again. Like, yeah,
we got to do this bastard for one more week.
It's like last year we thought that'd be the last thing. We ended up finishing 9-4, going to a good bowl and winning that. Like, he's coming back for another season. Well, damn. Okay, you're happy because you had a good record, but then you're upset because you got the same guy coming back again. It's just like we can't get rid of this guy. Guy does just enough to keep his job, just enough.
It's like the life of every Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, I think Jerry's trying to stop payment on that check to Dak right now. But but going from like the first beer going into. So what about your first craft beer, as we were just kind of hitting on that a little bit? Do you remember what your first craft beer was and what your initial thoughts were with it? And was it the one that opened the door for you to go into more craft? Because for me, like, as I was asked on the show with the Lager guys a couple weeks ago, it was like the Ithaca Flower Power, and it was just like a light bulb went off, and that got me down the road of where I'm at now in craft beer. So was there something that gave you like that little, like, what is this type feeling? And then you were like, I got to find more.
That's probably exactly what it was, because I was in a bit of a unique situation being where I was from, the part of Connecticut I was from, because Two Roads is out of Stratford, and Two Roads was very early on in the craft boom. They were one of the first. They were really one of the first ones when it was really just before it started to blow up. And they had, well, I shouldn't say had, probably still have, a lot of money behind them. So when they opened up, they were in distro in a serious way right away. So they're 4 flagship beers you could get anywhere. And there were a couple of them that I really liked, and there were a couple of them I didn't like. There was one particular beer, it was a Session IPA. And their first batch, I swear, they must have... They definitely had to have changed the recipe, because a buddy of mine and I went to a minor league hockey game, and the first time we tried the Session IPA, it wasn't in the concession stand. It was the arena had like one of those little sidebars. So we go in there and it's like, oh, they have Two Roads. Look at that one, and we probably had like 2 of each. We felt like we were loopy off of that, and we're like, it's a Session IPA. What the hell is this? Like, it's claimed to be 4.7, really 7.8 or something. There's some nonsense like that. So my initial, and there's a lot of breweries like that in Connecticut that when it feels like my memory serves. It feels like they were in distro right away when they started. The Two Roads, Stony Creek in Brantford, Thimble Island, which I'm not sure. I can't remember if that's in Brantford or the town over. I think it's still technically in Brantford. And then there was one up in Hartford, which has since closed, sadly. But I think they even predated Two Roads. I can't remember the name. I know the name of their number one beer was Naughty Nurse.
Okay.
A red ale, which was really good. And that one even predated Two Roads. So when I got into craft, it was like, it wasn't necessarily the niche of craft, because all the names that I could get and go to, they were also in the package stores.
City Stream Brewery. I just looked it up there. Naughty Nurse. They were out of Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, City Stream. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Really nice tap room, because it was kind of a historic building but it was like in downtown. So it was a really cool building, and I had went there several times after hockey games and meeting up with friends that were like just over the border in Mass, or just general living in Hartford, because I went to school in New Britain. So I had a lot of friends up around the Hartford area.
Yeah.
And Vanessa got it last year. I knew it was pretty recent.
Yeah.
So that like I would go to a lot of the places up around I went to City Steam quite a few times, just around, later in school and after school, meeting up with friends that, lived up in that neck of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because Vanessa used to tell us about Naughty Nerves because that was a beer she used to enjoy, I believe, as well. But like she said, one of her relatives was the brewer.
Really?
Was there. Yeah.
She really is the Renaissance woman.
She's got everything going on. I mean, and look at this. She even met John Denver at Westover Air Force Base just before Thanksgiving 1990, and just as the show began. So she's rubbing elbows with the great one there. 4th of July weekend at Milford with the mayor in 1987. Fun times. Vanessa's been everywhere. I mean, she's
politicians, musical artists.
There's no doubt she could write a fantastic book of her life, and people would be a bestseller.
It would be.
Yeah. So the first beer then was it a Two Roads? That was the one that kind of got you, one of the Two Roads ones.
More than likely.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure it was probably a Two Roads. Either the Honey Spot, which I think was just a single IPA.
Yeah.
Or Road to Ruin, which was their double IPA.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's funny because I remember drinking them back then, thinking like, oh my God, these are so good. These are so good. And then as craft really started to evolve, and obviously they're not going to change the recipe. And I would go back to drinking. I'm like, yeah, okay, they're drinkable, but these really aren't the greatest craft beers I've ever had. Like, I don't know if they even reach the top 20 of the style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me anyway. I mean, they may be true to the style, but the more you drink, because I'm the type of person, like I rarely drink the same beer twice. Like if I am, it's just because I'm out and about at a place that maybe not has the best selection, but at least I know what that is,
Yeah.
So
you're kind of like me in that you want to try to explore as many as you can and try different ones. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Pokemon.
Yeah. But occasionally you'll pick up like I shared a picture on the community page where I picked up some beer this past Sunday, and one of them was a 4-pack because one is Great Lakes. I like Great Lakes. I don't get them down here as much. A couple spots where I was at there, and it was the last of the 4-pack. And I'm like, I like rye and I like barrel aging, and you're gonna put a rye barrel age together. Yeah, I'm gonna probably grab it. It was the last 4-pack, so I'm like, I'll just grab that. And I'm gonna actually I'm gonna have one of those in a bit here too.
Which Great Lakes?
Great Lakes, America.
Okay.
America, Great Lakes, up in Cleveland.
That's right. Yeah, I thought it was in Ohio. Yeah,
or the land, as the kids like to call it nowadays. The land.
Do they still call it that since LeBron left?
I don't know. They were showing a video earlier of LeBron. Somehow he got mixed up into it. Now we were joking about P. Diddy earlier, but there was no video that LeBron had done talking about how good the parties were at P. Diddy's house. They're like, oh, that's coming back to haunt him now.
Oh, boy.
And his wife might be like, so what did you do at P. Diddy's party?
Yeah.
Never know. You never know. Again,
he's been with his wife for a long time.
I think it was since high school, maybe, or so, or after high school. Yeah, the whole time. I always wonder because, the athletes may be with their wives, their significant others for a long time, but you always kind of wonder, when you're on the road, I mean, what doesn't get spoken doesn't happen, right? Well, the whole world can't be Vegas, right? So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
Was it one time, because you like this because you're doing the sports stuff, but they were interviewing Lawrence Taylor, one of my favorite football players of all time, LT. And he was talking about when he was with the Giants and how they would send strippers or hookers to the visiting team's hotel rooms in the middle of the night to try to get the players off their game. And he was like, the hookers never said he didn't get paid.
That's right.
So
I laugh at the LT situation so much because the amount Parcells let him get away with. Fans today lose their minds over so much less from the current players.
Yeah.
Not every transgression is Ray Rice level. But
yeah.
like fans would get fed up with Cam Newton because he would go to the press conference, he'd be wearing all the crazy suits and whatnot, or Marshawn Lynch because he would grumble or whatever, or refuse to talk to the media at all. And it's like, the media would kind of, get their brows ruffled about that. And like, look at what LT did. And nobody said anything about that. he was dead drunk till 4 a.m. and then suing up in 3 hours.
Well, one, you're LT, and two, you're LT, so nobody wants to be on your bad side. Yeah. Well, I go back to some players get special rules, and I go back to Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden, when he coached Florida State, and he had a young kicker called Sebastian Janikowski.
Oh, yeah.
And he was doing a press conference, and they're like, well, how come Sebastian gets to stay out to like 2, 3 in the morning, but other players are in by 11 for curfew? He's like, well, we got special rules for Sebastian because he's not from here. He's from Poland. So we got special rules for him. And, we accustomed to his lifestyle. It's like, yeah. So some players, they got special rules, I guess. Yeah.
Well, also, Sebastian Janikowski could kick field goals from 60 yards.
Yeah.
And in college, kickers don't do that.
No. Well, now I think one just kicked it for 65, I think, during one of the games a couple weeks ago. I forgot who it was I was watching. They went for it. He ended up making it. But I got to say right now, come on, the most popular kicker is retired, but he's got to be my alum.
Oh, Pat McAfee.
You got to be Pat. It's got to be Pat because everybody loves watching Pat on there. Even like him and Nick Saban on Saturday countdowns. I'm a
Colts fan. You're not going to get any arguments from me.
Yeah.
I was so upset when he retired early. I was like, no. Oh.
Were you more upset when he retired early, or were you more upset when Andrew Luck retired early?
Oh, well, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck.
Because his dad's a Mountaineer. Andrew Luck's dad, Oliver's a Mountaineer too.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was actually, I think he might have played quarterback for the Mountaineers. When I was in college, he was, I think, maybe a few years out. Jeff Hostetler was another Mountaineer quarterback too. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yeah. So
quarterback.
Yeah. So we got a few Mountaineers that are around. Let me see here. Is there anything else here? Yeah. Vanessa had drank the first naughty nurses to be made, so she's getting right off the line, which is awesome. Came over to the home. I was renovating. Oh, you're talking about the lady, Mayor Milford, was so much for the chat with. Came over to the house. Let me know if she wanted to go to a function with her precious members. Nice. We got East Coast in the house. Cheers. What's going on, Tanner, my friend? Just a Bavarian style immersion by Brewhouse Brew Labs. Very nice. There you go. So yeah, the Dunkel, if you haven't had the Hofbrau Dunkel, it's definitely one worth getting. And it's considered like an import. So even though we have Hofbrau House in the States now, this is still considered to be like an import if you happen to see it out there because it's from Germany. That's
another thing I kind of wanted to do as a future offshoot back to get some more beer reviews in when it's more of a novelty is like pick up these popular common imports that I've seen bigger channels do reviews on them, and I'm like, it's like I feel like I've had those beers before, but I mean it's weird because everyone always says like what gets the most clicks, the macros. I'm like, I really want to review a macro, but
But it was funny. I've had this one like numerous times. I just had never done a review on it. And I'm like, well, I had it, but I've always had it like at a festival. That's where I end up I do my check-ins. They were like at Oktoberfest in Cincinnati or one of the festivals that I was actually having this at most of the time. So
what do you like think about the beer scene in Cincinnati versus Baltimore? Because they both have a high reputation from what I've heard.
Well, I'd be surprised with Baltimore having a reputation. I mean, Cincinnati's definitely a lot better of a beer scene.
Maybe I should say Maryland in general, then maybe not Baltimore specifically.
Through the state, I mean, here's the thing: like in Cincinnati area, we had enough breweries that we probably have more breweries in the state of Maryland. So we were like 75 breweries within that throughout that Cincinnati. We consider Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, And then we have like Eastern Indiana is a little bit of a part of that, right there on that corner where you run at like radius going out like 25 miles, 70 breweries within that radius. And then you could drive up the way to Dayton and get breweries up there, or go up to Columbus and have breweries up there. 450. And then you can go up to 450 is in Indiana, but if you went the other way through Indiana, you would get to 450.
Isn't it Columbus, Indiana?
Well, Columbus, Ohio, I'm talking about. Yeah. Columbus, Ohio, you'd have like Columbus Brewing and a bunch up there. That's where they put the Brew Dog. And then you have the stuff in Cleveland. So when we moved here like 3 years ago, Ohio went to 400 breweries throughout the state, which was huge. So they got a great scene throughout. And now people are starting to find out more about Cincinnati, because I always said that was like a hidden gem in the Midwest, because everybody was thinking of Michigan and they were thinking of going to Wisconsin, all kinds of stuff. Cincinnati's got the little quiet as kept. Now people are done secrets out and people are showing up, like coming in, and you got to wait in line for stuff. But, it's great beers they have through there. In fact, Cincinnati, I tell people, if you can't go to Oktoberfest in Munich, you should book a trip to go to Cincinnati, because that's the second biggest Oktoberfest in the world. So they get over like 500,000 people that come there for Oktoberfest, and it's crazy. And they bring over the breweries that are in Oktoberfest in Germany will come over here, the ones that are allowed to participate there, because Cincinnati has a strong German heritage. And so they get all of them to come over. So you'll have like Opera, you'll have like Eyinger, you'll have Paulaner. And the cool thing is they'll bring the other beers that aren't just the Oktoberfest beers. You get to try the Keller beers and the Dunkels and all other stuff that are just right from the tap. They're so good. So yeah.
I do love a good Keller beer. You know what my other favorite style is besides Dunkel?
What's that?
Is a Dortmunder.
Dortmunder's solid too. Yeah. And if you get a chance, Great Lakes has a pretty good Dortmunder lager. You can actually check them out if you see that one. They've actually won a lot of medals out at the Great American Beer Fest before off that one. So it's pretty solid.
Granted, I haven't had a ton of them, maybe like 3 or 4, but every single one I've had is absolutely fantastic. I don't know why that particular style just hits the right note for me.
It just hits. It's like old school, the way it hits your lips. Cheers, Chris. Great to see you, my friend. Yeah, we're all looking forward to that and everything. And we're here with the man that's going to be in charge of getting that stuff together. So it'll be an awesome time, which was going to be another question upcoming here. So being where you're at down in South Carolina, obviously you're fortunate to have some key breweries and stuff around you. So what is your take on what you're seeing now with the beer scene down there? Because I know we've had a couple breweries that just unfortunately had to close their doors.
Saddened about
that. But when you have some closed, a lot of times someone else will come in and buy, right? So there might be other opportunities that come there. But overall, like, what are you seeing? Like, what are your thoughts there? Like the beer scene, what are you seeing? What are the trades? Is it the hazy IPA stuff? Is it the more people getting into the lagers? Like, what are you kind of seeing that through your area?
I think since I've been down here 4 years now, I think what's been the most prevalent style that most breweries do well down here are lagers.
Okay.
But to that point, it's a lot. The selection you see down here is a lot more diverse than what it was up north.
Okay.
Connecticut was haze craze.
Yeah.
And I think you could probably throw Massachusetts in that bucket as well when you think about Treehouse and Trillium and those. Like Connecticut was you needed an elite hazy, and you probably needed 3 of them just to keep up with the Joneses. So it was IPA. That state is very, very IPA centric. Like there's a style that I really, really enjoy, the ESB. I never had an ESB before I moved down here. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like, and I feel like maybe it's slowed down a little bit, but when I first started going out and exploring down here, I felt like every 5th or 6th brewery had an ESB.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really like this style. There's so many of them down here. Like, why did Connecticut do this at all?
Well, it's funny because the region can come into play, and not just even the New England type beer. I think that kind of bleeds down even where I'm at here in Maryland, because I know when I go back home to Jersey, it's the same thing. Like there's so many hazy IPAs and stuff that are in that marketplace, and it's like, hey, you guys like sell anything else besides these? Like, and you got to actually dig sometimes to find some of the stuff you can add. Now the thing is, you could actually dig and really find some good stuff up there, because everybody's so IPA that some of the stores will be like, well, we're going to go ahead and discount this to get this off the shelf. And they'd be like, what is it? Oh, it's a 12% barrel-aged stout. It was like $15. We're selling it for $6 now. How many you got left? I'll take them all. Because people aren't drinking them. They don't know what they are really. And it's like, you can age these for years. Like I'll rack them up, take them all out with me, you know? So that's the one thing when I go back to Jersey, it's always fun because I can always find stuff at stores where it's just like, we're trying to move stuff out. And it's like, oh, well, this is good. I can keep this. I can keep that. You know, as long as it's stored properly and everything, you're good to go. So,
yeah. And especially if you get a couple of the same, because you could do a video when you buy it, and then you could do another video a year later and another video maybe a year later after that. And it's all the same beer, but then you could really examine how it changes with a little bit of age and flavor.
Yeah. I went back to Jersey. It was like last year at some point. I walked into a store, Firestone Walker, and like their parabolas or whatever. They were like $6 a bottle. Those are usually like 12 to 15 or something in places. So he had like 3 or 4 of them. So I got all 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Like any more in the back room, let me know while I'm here, you know.
Yeah. You can't take my debit card fast enough.
Yeah. So it's getting to know the environment. But that doesn't surprise me about the lagers down south. I mean, during the course of the year, you do get more of the warmer weather, right? So a lager would seem to be a play down there, maybe like something like some cream ale or something like that and everything. But yeah, you definitely want some of those crisp, refreshing type beer styles.
And it's funny because even with that, that's 100% accurate. But there are two breweries in this state that do a jalapeno, well, not necessarily jalapeno, but a spicy stout in the wintertime. And they're like, and they're both well known. Well, one of them is particularly well known. The other one probably maybe not so much outside the state, but within the state, it's got a high reputation.
Okay.
One of them, the one probably more well known is Westbrook's.
Yeah, Westbrook.
Mexican cake.
I've got that.
Yeah,
I've got that.
And then the other one is 13 Stripes, which I have one in my bag. And not this particular beer. Although I do have one in the house. Yeah, I do have one in the house actually. It's called Old Soul, and they release it every year on the solstice.
Oh, okay.
And not only do they release the new one, but they would release a barrel-aged version of the previous year's one.
Okay.
And I actually have a video in the can. I guess it'll at this point be a lost tapes feature that I reviewed with one of my local influencer friends, and it was comparing the new one and the previous year's one, because the heat definitely changes over the course of aging in a year.
Right.
Like the intensity changes, where it hits on your palate changes. So it's a really interesting beer, and that's 100% accurate that that it makes sense the lagers are popular down here because of the hotter climate. But it's just funny to think of like those two particular beers are famous, one reputation preceding itself outside the borders, and one very, very well known inside the borders. And they're both, these big, heavy, dense, high grav stouts. Yeah.
The Westbrook is definitely one that we get up here in Maryland. I've gotten that on the last year version that came out, and I'm still got to crack it open. I feel like I was watching one of the live streams earlier with the Lager Room, and they were talking about all different beer in hand. I'm like, I feel like I would never say these words before, but I think I got too much beer. Like, it's just trying to get through beer. Like, we have to try to get through beer, and it almost feels like a chore. It's like
it does. It does.
Yeah.
And you sit there staring at them in the fridge. You're like, I gotta do a video on that. Do I feel like doing a video right now? Not really. Whereas before it was like I just want a beer. Let me grab.
You just want a beer. Let me grab a beer, right? So yeah. So I think sometimes you have to buy a couple, like maybe a couple extra or something, or have your like daily drink? Or do you have like a daily? I mean, I know you like to try different beers, but do you you don't keep a daily like anything around like just to satisfy a quench or anything like that?
No, I don't. I've kind of you're probably gonna hate me for this, but like I don't. I've lost my desire to have a daily drinker.
Okay. No,
And if I did, I would pour myself a cocktail.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted a drink to have a drink, I'd make myself a drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That can definitely work too. I've done some whiskey sours over the last few months just to kind of kick back with that even. So yeah. Instead of but sometimes it's just a matter of just want to get like a, dare I say, just like an adjunct lager or whatever. It might be like, let me just grab a Hams or something, just to have something, something to just to quench your thirst. You're not looking to be knocked off your feet or that and everything. It's just one of those just thirst quenching beers.
I will say one beer that I probably could label as an everyday drinker would be a Gansett.
Yeah, those are actually pretty good. Yeah. I've definitely had the white cans, and of course, it always brings me back to thinking of Jaws too, because that's what Quentin drank. But anyway, so time for your first question here. Well, they've all been questions, but
I gotta crack open another beer too.
Your first thinking question, so to speak. And I had Shane to think about this for a little bit when he actually did it, but this is one I'd like to see what your guys' thoughts are. So, dropping you off on an island, and you can only bring 6 beers. What 6 are you putting in your 6-pack?
Okay, I did think I was kind of thinking about this during Shane's interview. Do they have to be a specific beer, or do they or can they be a style? Like, can I pick a style?
For this specific beer.
Ooh.
And while you do that, I'm going to pour an Allagash White.
I am. I'm going to pour 2. And One Flight Down has one of these too. I don't know if he shot.
Oh, that looks pretty good too. It's a pretty cool label.
Yeah. Very obvious Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
It's a Baltic Porter by another place that it's a collaboration, which I completely forgot about, with a collaboration between 2 breweries I'm very close with, New Groove, Artisan Brewery, and Liability Brewing Company. I'm close with both of them. I actually have another Liability beer in the bag. This is 7.3, so it's a little higher than that lager.
There you go. Cheers to Paul as well. PA Brewers.
Sexy time. Speaking of sexy time, just for you, Rod, I'm going to pour this in your glass. Oh,
look at that. He's going to hard pour into my glass, too.
That's right. 6 beers. They had to be a specific beer. Okay. One of them might be my favorite beer of all time. Is it a Doppelbock? I think it's a Doppelbock. It's by a brewery in Connecticut, in New Haven. New Haven. They're called East Rock. They are exclusively German style brewing. And they make this beer. It's a very limited release. They only do it once a year, and they don't really do a large batch of it. It's called the Old Leatherman, which is a nickname for some local hobo of New Haven lore. I don't know exactly the full story, but something like that. And it is like the cleanest. And I'm not a lot of times, like, I love Belgian styles and German styles, but I don't like that kind of dark fruit raisiny flavor.
Okay.
But that one, it does it in such like a clean, roasty, robust way. It's so nice. So Old Leatherman would definitely be in the final 6er. If I put an IPA, well, I have to put a West Coast in there, but it would have to be like a West Coast IPA from like Slice. out of California. Maybe the two. I've had a handful of them. They're all very, very good. So I would probably have to pick between Colonel Dankerton or
I like that name, Colonel Dankerton.
It's an awesome can too. Or it's not called Scooby Snacks, but it's a reference to that. It's like Doobie Snacks or something like that.
Okay.
That would probably be one of those two for the second year. Big fan of Sliced West Coast IPAs. They're clean, but they're clean, but they're still very piney. A lot of like that raw orange citrusy note. They're so good. I want to put a sour in it. Sour.
Make Shane happy.
Yeah, I know. he's cringing right now. I really like 450 North, but I don't know if I'd put one of those in there. Oh, you know what? I know what sour I could put in there. A Brains.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Like
I've had the brands Frosé. Yeah. Yeah. I've had one of theirs before. Those are pretty good.
Yeah, I'd put, and it didn't matter. It doesn't matter which one. They're all really good.
They're all good.
Yeah, I kind of like the Brains more than the 450 North ones.
I did too.
Yeah. So that'll be my sour.
Okay.
I have a dark beer, so I'm up to 3. Ooh, a lager. I know what lager I'd put in. That would be the.
You did, Shane. You did choose a sour. Yeah, you did choose a sour in this 6-pack. He's a people pleaser, though. So yeah.
Yes.
He would hope that he get found before he had to actually drink it.
Yeah, God forbid Brian saw his selection and didn't see a sour. I would put for my lager. I would do the Dortmunder from Liability.
Okay.
I think they did it. Actually, I think they did it. They had this. I did a series of videos for my channel for their mug club kind of thing. But they kind of do it like they call it the 12, and they kind of sell it like Fight Club. The first rule about the 12 is you don't talk about the 12. And one of the beers they did in the 12 was a Dortmunder, and I absolutely that might have been my first Dortmunder. I actually loved it, and I think they did it again, and it was still very, very good, but it didn't quite. They definitely tweaked the recipe a little bit. I didn't quite love it as much as the first go around, but it was still very, very good. So I would definitely take, and they changed the name of it because it had the name for the 12 release, but then they changed again for it to be their own. I don't remember what the name of it was the second time around. But I would take Liability's Dortmunder. I'm down to 2. So I need a stout or something dark. Ooh, I know what my dark would be. Okay, another local, Legal Remedy. I would do their Pro Bono chocolate vanilla porter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very, 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 very good. Very, very good. What did I got a lager, I got a sour, I got a dark beer. I got a lager, a sour, I got dark beer, I got
West Coast.
West Coast. Did I pick 5?
You had the sour, the West Coast, the porter,
West Coast, the porter,
the Dortmunder,
and
then
maybe I did only pick 4.
Maybe it is 4. I think it was
5. Maybe I did only pick 4. The Doppelbock. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what am I missing? I'm missing a hazy, but there's so many hazies out there. I don't even know if I could pick one.
I mean, there's tons of styles. Does it have to be a hazy? I don't know. It's your 6-pack.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Like, I'm definitely hazed out a little bit. I I mean, it's weird that I'm not going to pick a Dunkel, but I already picked like. But you know what? Like Dunkels to me, I love the style overall. I don't know if I could pick a Dunkel that I love more than any of the others.
Okay.
Although I did really enjoy the one that I helped brew. But that'll never get made again. So, actually, Shane had one of those. Believe it or not. Okay. So I think actually it'll be from that same brewery that I helped brew the Dunkel for. They're not open right now. They closed down to move into a different location, and they have yet to find a location. So I don't know if they're gonna reopen or if they're gonna move down to Charleston. But Plank Owner, they did a barrel aged version of their Trapel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was called Off to See the Lizard. And they did a barrel aged version of that beer, and that beer was so good. So that may be it. The Doppelbock, Trapel, my vanilla porter, the Dortmunder, the Drecker Sour, and
the West Coast.
The West Coast from Slice.
There you go. All right, see. There's your 6-pack right there. I put a
lot of thought into that. I probably blew up all the time in the show just for that.
No, it's all good. It's the Matt. Like you think about just what would that 6-pack be, right? You're making a 6-pack, you're getting dropped off. Some people like to have an easy drinking type beer. Some like,
and
the bigger type beer. It's like if I put Paul there, I think Paul might have been barrel aged stout. I mean, he's drinking the big beers, right? So it's all a matter of what you prefer.
That they could last you a month in each time.
Yeah. I mean, the barrel aged could actually be your meal too, right? So they're big enough.
Liquid lunch.
Yeah.
This Baltic Porter's got a little bit of a dark fruit aroma. It's subtle enough that it doesn't bother me, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, you can get that with the Baltic Porters too.
I like them when they're more of a clean type of. Ooh. It's like you ever get that flavor on a dark beer where it's not quite coffee, but it's not quite chocolate either?
Is it like a toffee type thing or something, or is it like in between? Like
maybe I can never.
Does it got like a candy type feel to it?
A little bit, but like a
or like cocoa,
like a raisinette kind of candy.
Yeah, like raisin. Yeah, like dark fruit with the like raisinette type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
Little fig like.
Yeah. Oh, Fig Newtons. Fig Newtons.
Yeah. I do not like Fig Newtons, but I'll have a fig taste in my beer and I'm okay. I'm coconuts the same way.
Not a fan of coconut, coffee. But, like I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm okay with coffee and a beer.
Yeah. And technically, if you're having a coffee beer, can't that count as your coffee in the morning when you go to work? I'm just saying, it's got coffee in the name.
It gets me going. Don't judge. It might make me even happier to punch the buttons for the man.
Right. Or punch something. So
leave Nutmeg alone for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah. Give him an hour or so before you talk to him. Yeah. You mentioned like talking about the styles earlier. So the next question was actually going to be, so what are your top 3 favorite beer styles?
Anything German.
Nothing in particular?
Dunkels, Keller beers, and Dortmunders. Definitely West Coast, but they got to be like those clear. They got to be a clear California West Coast. I don't like those. I don't like those. These East Coast style West Coast IPAs where they're like copper and malty. That kind of, I do not like that. Like the old school Lagunitas, little something. that beer I've drank that beer enough times. It just does not appeal to me. It's never appealed to me.
Yeah.
Or not the I don't remember if it was the torpedo or the pale. One of the Sierra Nevada flagships. It's like a real dark colored IPA. It like that kind of beer just does not appeal to me. It's like that weird malty hoppy mix. I'm like, just you got to pick one.
Well, that's
if I want something malty, I'll get something malty. I'll get a brown or an amber or something like. But I want an IPA. I want hoppy. Like I don't want this malty backbone in an IPA. I'm sorry. That may be sacrilegious to some people, but that's not. I don't dig that.
As Chase gets the soapbox out. No,
sorry.
The torpedo.
Take it down that.
I guess the torpedo extra pale ale. I think is that one you're thinking of, where it's got the which I like the extra pale, but I like some malt. So like I like the double two hearted, which is going to be more malty. They get because that's you're getting the ABV up, not the regular two hearted, but the double two hearted.
I had a Bell's, and I tend to. They're available a lot down here.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to avoid them just because. I'm not taking anything away from breweries that kind of hit it big and get into distro big time. I'm not gonna, hey, you did what a lot of people don't. You did what a lot of breweries haven't done yet or may never do. So I'm not gonna take anything away from them. But it's just like I feel like I want something. I don't want something that I get everywhere. You know what I mean? But that being said, I did go the last time I went to hit some golf balls last month. I did have a Bell's, and I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was the double one or just a regular 2 hard.
Well, the double's like a special release. They don't do that all the time. But Bell's has a good line of beers. They're like Black Note is a great stout. So they have and they're not, I know you still get them down there, but like there's some spots where you still can't get it. It's just their distribution has gotten down there into where you're at now in the Carolinas, but there's some parts, just like anything, distribution where you can't get stuff. It's like I see people, we can't get Treehouse, right? But then like you'll watch some of the UK guys and they got Treehouse. Oh my God, I got it at the bottle shop here.
They've got
you need a bottle shop in the UK, but we can't get it here. We can't get our stuff. Yeah, it's like we got to drive to Treehouse, but you got a guy in the bottle shop that gets it. Yeah,
I thought it was. I thought you were gonna say with the their mail services, because like I've seen like Bullman and Don will get those like random mail services, and they'll get American Craft.
Yeah.
And I thought you meant like that's how they get the Treehouse. I don't know how the hell they get in a bottle shop.
No, I mean they may do it that way too, but I know some of the guys over there that their local bottle shops, they said they actually had Treehouse in there or something, and it's just like it takes forever to try to find it around here unless you go there, or they would get like the Alchemist, or they'll get like Pliny, and it's like it's just the way distribution is. It's kind of weird that way. It's just
you can't get Treehouse, and you're maybe 300 miles from it.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like I finally got because we get distribution now from the Alchemist. So earlier this year, I finally got Heady Topper and Focal Banger because one of the guys I know in New Jersey, he let me know, gave me the heads up, and I was able to pick it up when I was up there. Okay. But Shane had to drive like 9 hours to Vermont or whatever, so he can actually get it right. So yeah.
Well, and he did the hand pull thing, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing for Heady Topper.
Yeah, that's not a thing at P. That's not a thing at P. Diddy's house, though. Just saying, there's no hand pull at P. Diddy. Well, there might be a hand pull, but it's not for Heady. There might be a Heady Topper. There might be a Heady Topper at P. Diddy's house too. I don't know.
There might be a Focal Banger too.
Might be too. Yeah. See, those Alchemist guys were partying with P. Diddy when he came up with this idea.
Yeah. They I guess I should answer this guy's question.
Music is Life was asking what beer we were drinking.
Imperial March. This is a Baltic Porter. It's a collaboration from two of my favorite good friends down here in the brewery scene, New Groove and Liability.
There you go.
Very nice logos, and I think it's down here somewhere. 7.3.
There you go.
Bum, 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 bum.
And now I'm just drinking the Allagash White as I'm cleaning out the cooler a little bit with that one. That was one of my wife had gotten before, but she didn't finish drinking them. So I'm like, I'll drink them. I like Belgian wits. So And then I had a Hofbrand Dunkel to start off as well. So there you go.
I do like wits. I'm not big on Belgian blondes. It's weird because I say that I'm not big on Belgians, but I do really like a Trapel, and I do really like most quads. Some I don't like because they're too dark fruity, but there's quite a bit of quads I do like.
Never too dark. Never too dark. Cheers, Greg. Daddy Porter in the house. Another great channel. You can check out Daddy Porter. Make sure to check him out as well. But yeah.
Oh, what we got? Our styles.
Yeah, you got the style. Well, you gave me like 3 styles all in one, but you're like, I'm putting them all under one category.
Yeah. Well, because to me, I mean, a German style is a German style. I mean, they're all beer styles. It's kind of like they're all styles. Like German is where it's from, Germany, right? But they're all like, different styles over there. Okay. All right. Well,
which is fine.
I'll give you Dortmunder and Dunkel then.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the third one, I'll go West Coast. But like I said, it's got to be that California West Coast.
West Coast, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It's got to be California West Coast, though, not this bullshit we do out here.
It's got to be the real deal.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who got the idea in their head. And I know there are some West Coast breweries that's the way they make West Coast IPAs. And there are some East Coast breweries that say, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be made, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not good. And this is the way they're doing it now. So you should embrace that because it's significantly better.
It's like, but that's just my opinion, right? What do you? Well, you mentioned German ones, so one of my styles that I've actually become a big fan. Probably my second favorite style now is actually the rock beer. What do you think of those? That's probably my second favorite now. Beer. Yeah. So that's my favorite now behind like a Belgian quad. It's
the closest thing to bacon in beer form.
Isn't it? Every time you have one, you're like, I need to be at a campfire eating some bacon right now and just sitting out there hearing the crackling of the fire and stuff. I mean, it's a perfect beer. Like, if I ever go hiking, you want that in your backpack, right? Like, if I was on an island, that would be like one of my things, having a rock beer, just being out there,
And that's another one, not quite to the same degree as ESB because they don't see them nearly as much. But that's another one. Like, I never used to see a rock beer in Connecticut at all.
Yeah.
Even at East Rock. Now, even at East Rock, they're make all German beers, and even there, I never even saw one.
Yeah, anybody that sees anything with X and curl on it, you should just pick it up. You shouldn't even ask any questions. Just pick it up and go camping.
Every old butane grill,
right? So, what? Okay, here's the other opposite of that, right? So, what beer styles do you like the least?
Ooh. That's actually harder. Blondes.
You don't have to hate them, but they're like your least favorite, right? So, blondes.
Yeah, I'm not. They just don't do anything for me.
Just like the blonde ale.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't do it. Doesn't tickle my fancy, Ooh. There is one that I can't think of it, but there is a particular style that I just do not like at all. I can't think of what it is.
You think one of the beers of the style?
No, that'd probably be even harder. I will say I don't know if I put it in the bottom 3, but I will lay some claim to Shane's selection of a Flanders because I've had Flanders that I've really liked, and I've had other Flanders that are just putrid. But that I wouldn't put that in the bottom 3 because I have had some Flanders of 1 or 2 Flanders that I really, really liked.
Yeah.
Well, definitely the bastardization that the East Coast thinks a West Coast IPA is. Definitely put that on the bottom.
So any East Coast, West Coast IPAs.
Yeah. Anyway. This is hard.
Yeah.
I might have to. Whoops, that's not my password. I might have to do a quick scrub of the styles on Untapped.
I mean, it may not be, like I said, it might be any you really hate or anything like that and everything. It's just,
no, there's definitely ones I hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, blondes for sure. I'm not a big fan of a Maibach. You think I would be? I've had Maibach that I've liked before. Oh, I know. Well, this isn't really a beer. A cider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cider's a cider. I mean, even though you can check it in Untapped now.
Yeah, that's right. I could go with this one. Okay, well, this is one that I don't know if you consider this a true style. A honey beer.
They're usually like the honey beers are usually like kind of in that specialty type thing, right? When so yeah, I mean, you get the specialty type style. I mean, it's not mead, but there is beers with honey that are done as kind of a special. Like if you look at the Great American Beer Fest categories and some of that stuff, you'll see like specialty where they have beers like that.
I will say I used to really like these, and I've since lost my palate for them a lot. Unless they're like incredibly fresh. Milkshake IPAs.
Not seeing a lot of those as much as we used to.
Yeah, that's true. The craze
that may have.
No lagers. I like all lagers. Pales are fine. Pilsner's fine. Porter's fine. Rosh is fine. Reds are fine.
What about a cold IPA? You like a cold IPA?
No, I do like a cold IPA.
Okay.
I do like a cold IPA.
Which is almost like a reformulating of IPO, but that's a whole different discussion.
I know. There's actually an interview I have on my channel with a local brewer who I'm close friends with. And he was making a joke about how we were at this festival. It was the Lager Festival. And he was making a joke how he was laughing with one of the other brewers. Can we figure out a name for this style? Is it a cold IPA? Is it India Pale Lager? Is it a West Coast Pilsner? They're all the same thing. Can we figure out one name to call them?
Well, I think it was figured out if you put IPA in anything, it has a chance to sell better.
That's right.
Which now, if you go back to IPL, more people are getting lagers, so you might have been to flip it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay. I got one. I could do without a winter warmer.
Really?
Yeah. You
don't like the whole Christmas feel in the glass with it and everything? The cinnamon and nutmeg and all that.
Nutmeg. Actually, every time I watched one of the squad's videos and they're Reno ingredients and they say nutmeg, I always say to myself, nutmeg. Winter warmer is definitely one I could do without. I don't know why. It's like a blonde ale for me. It just does not do anything for me. It's like too much malty. It's almost like it's like too much malty, the wrong kind of dark fruit. It's like it has never worked for me. And I mean, I'm going back to what was the one that Sam Adams did? Sam Adams had a winter warmer that they did every year.
Is it the old Pheasant? I don't think I've ever had it, but was it Old Fezziwig?
Was it Pheasant?
I think it's Old Fezziwig they do every year, and you got to buy the variety pack. I never bought the variety pack to get it. Yeah. Although I think last year or the year before they put them in 6-packs or something to get people to try to buy them. So
probably. But they also had, I think, a generic winter ale.
They did have a winter ale. Sam Adams did have a winter ale too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I could do without that. I could do without that, and I could do without a blonde ale. And I guess by default. Actually, you know what? I could do it. You know what? If I never had another Bread IPA again, I'd be okay.
They even making those still? You still see them out there? You still seeing them where you're
Not in
at?
a while. I certainly don't see them as much as I used to.
Yeah. I think that one kind of ran out on people too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I had actually come across one brewery. Unfortunately, they're closed now. It's Black Oyster up in Ohio. We went up there one year and they had a bread IPA. It was probably the best bread IPA I actually had. And they had some really good beers. We actually did an interview with the head brewer and all that kind of stuff on YouTube. And it was really cool. But unfortunately, I found out earlier this year they had actually closed. I'm like, they were pretty solid, but it's tough out there right now for breweries too. So
it's really tough. I mean, if Eight State closes its doors, then it's.
I mean, even when I went in there, there wasn't really as many people in there, maybe a couple besides myself, and it was probably like 2 or 3 in the afternoon though. So I don't know if it was because it was like midday, like on a Thursday or whatever like that, or if they were struggling anyway. But they had good stuff. I mean, it's a shame.
Yeah, and it's funny. The first beer I had from Anchorage was a Bread IPA.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that was the first beer I had from Anchorage. I've had a few hazy since.
Yeah.
But that was the first beer I had from Anchorage, and it was quite a while before I had another beer from them. So for a long time, that was my only exposure to Anchorage.
Are there any breweries that are not here now that you wish you could bring back?
Well, definitely A-State.
Well, I mean, that just happened, right? Yeah. So, but I was thinking more long term, but I forgot. That's a little too soon for you right now.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, Rod, cut me deep, bro. Cut me deep. Actually, you know why that upsets me the most is the fact that there's still like another week. I'm actually going to meet up with one of my local friends there Thursday. But the reason that hurts me so much is that you guys won't be able to go there next year. Like I'm gonna have to load up on bottles on Thursday and just store them. So you guys can at least say you tried A-State, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny here in Maryland because one of the breweries, I never got a chance to really go over there. I met the owner at one point, but I never made it over to the brewery. And they shut the door. I actually brought one of their beers up to Shane. I'm waiting for Shane to actually review at some point because of that pancakes and syrup on the front of it. So I'm like, oh, this is a perfect Shane beer. Yeah. So, but it was Pariah Brewing, and Pariah was getting a lot of support. Yeah, they were sending some beers out to some of the beer tubers and all that kind of stuff too. And they came from California to Baltimore, and just couldn't get it done here. And they actually shut down shop. And a lot of people were disappointed to see them having to close their door.
There's well, I definitely want Plank Owner to come back. Although I don't dispute that they might still come back because they didn't necessarily close because of hard times. I think that the circumstances to them coming back haven't played out the way they thought they would. There's actually a lot. I'm trying to think of more because there's actually a lot that have closed around here just because of the stupid insurance law down here. There's there's some weird law down here where the state house passed it to try and I guess it's some kind of protection from people going out and getting drunk and then driving and killing someone.
I gotcha.
But the way it played out, it jacks up liability insurance for all the breweries. So some of them it doesn't jack it up too much, but some of them it jacks up like $20,000 a month or something crazy.
Oh, geez.
Unless you've got deep pockets behind you, you're not paying that bill.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of ones that have closed because of that. Of course, down there coming to the top of my head right now.
Well, I know some breweries have struggled just because of like rent and space has gotten kind of crazy for some of them.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Oh, birds fly. Birds fly. It was probably a little mix of the insurance thing, but I think that was mostly due to some kind of poor financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But I would bring them back. They were they probably did the best saisons you've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their style. And I heard actually from one of my bartender friends locally that they were trying to sell some of their equipment and they didn't take good care of the equipment because they didn't sanitize the tanks properly after they did all their funky stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So their equipment was kind of contaminated. So but I would bring that. I mean, their saisons were top of the line. So I definitely bring them back. I miss them. Yeah, it's weird. I think I'm having trouble thinking of the ones that have fallen to this insurance thing lately because A State's just so in front of my brain right now.
Yeah.
That came out of nowhere and it's so sad because they're like those were the best adjunct stouts. Those are the best adjunct stouts you can have. They were the best. Oh my god. One of those beers would put you on your ass.
Yeah.
But it tasted good. Like it wasn't like you were drinking it just to get annihilated. Like it really tasted good. But it
was like Weather Souls closing in Texas. I caught people off guard too, but
did they close just in Texas? Or they closed the other ones too? Because they had a Charlotte location as well.
Weather Souls did?
Yeah.
I thought they didn't. Well, the only one I saw was in Texas. It was closing, but I thought they were pretty much pulling up because Marcus left back in June. And so without him being there, from what's been said is they kind of went downhill that I've heard rumors of with their beers when he had left.
Mm-hmm.
So since he wasn't there anymore, I think they started having a drop off on stuff. So
there actually was one brewery in Connecticut, in Stamford, not too far from where I worked, where I used to work figuratively and literally. Called Lock City.
Mm-hmm.
And they made very good beers. They were very hazy centric, typical New England brewery, but their beers were very, very good. And they were a very small outfit. They had a very small tap room, so I think that was probably more like a rent and space situation.
Yeah,
and I think they shut down. I'm pretty sure. And that was when I heard about that, I was a little saddened to that because that was a good place we used to go after work. This was even before Nutmeg was a thing. But that they were very, very good. And then there are some places like Fat Orange Cat still exists.
Yeah, I've had their beer.
Their storefront does not exist.
Are they're contract brewing in?
They completely contract through 12%.
Mm-hmm.
And their storefront, I did go there, and it's in a goat farm. That's the brewery.
It feels like Fat Orange Cat. It would fit to be on a goat farm with that name, like
yeah.
Because you go to a goat farm, that's probably a Fat Orange Cat that's probably on the property too.
Yeah.
Just
and it was funny. I went up there almost 2 years ago. I guess it is. For my co-host on the movie podcast for her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up there for the wedding, and throughout the rest of the weekend, I'm like driving around. I'm seeing friends, but I'm also stopping at some of the places. And I met up with another influencer, Chef and Delish.
Mm-hmm.
And we met up at 12%, and we're sitting there, we're doing videos, whatever. And one of the manager, I guess he was a manager. He walks over and asks what we're doing. So we told him about our pages and whatnot. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to tour the facility?" We're like, right. Like, a creator's going to say no to that. Right.
Yeah.
So we get her on the tour, and I brought up the Fat Orange Cat thing, and he said, "Oh, that's their brewing equipment." And he points to the floor, and it's like 2 tanks, maybe about, I don't know, like that, the size of my knees to my head, something like that. They're not very big tanks, and there's 2 of them, and then all the cables and the tubes and whatnot. He said that's their brewing system, and I'm like, I looked at it, double take. I'm like, that's it. Speaking of I didn't bring it in there, but there was a sour they did. The one time I did go to Fat Orange Cat's on site, there was a sour they did called the peach. I think it was peach mango or orange mango. I think it was peach mango. It was It was called Walkabout, and oh my gosh, 5 out of 5. That beer was so good. Like I could, like I say, like, you know, I typically don't order the same beer twice. I could order that beer 5, 6, 7 times in a row and not complain once. It was so good. Like all the fruit notes on it, it was so good. And I don't know if they've ever done it again. They did it once because a friend of mine sent me a picture of it. She got a picture. She went and found some, but it wasn't very often they did it again. I don't think they've done it 12% taking them over. Another 12% brew that's very good is Sky Gazer, and that's funny because I remember Sky Gazer. I remember hearing about and going to their storefront, and it was literally in a storage unit with a big drop garage door. Well, that was their storefront, but some people got to start
Got to start somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, people got to start somewhere. So it was, it was still nice. So I go there and I had a couple of beers or whatever. So, and then Skygazer really took off when they started contracting through 12%. And to the point where and actually this is a funny story because I found it out that day I got the tour of 12% facility. I noticed 12% their beer started to get down here. Like I've seen Skygazer into distro down here. I've seen Fat Orange Cat into distro down here. And I'm thinking to myself in the back of my mind, I'm like, as big as Two Roads is and as much money as they have, how come they're not in distro down here in South Carolina? But these random breweries that had their on-sites in goat farms and storage units are down here. So I guess somebody with 12% is tight with the owners of Edmonds Oast and Westbrook and breweries like that. So there must be some kind of pipeline that kind of greased the tracks to get their beer down here.
Yeah.
And now I'm out of breath because I talked a lot in the last 90 seconds.
Well, the distribution is all relationships that you actually have that determines where you get to go to. So somebody's got to tie to something, I'm sure.
Yeah. But Skygazer, I always laugh because Skygazer, they really started to show up a lot when they hooked up with 12%. And I'm thinking to myself, I went to Skygazer when they first started and they were brewing and serving out of a storage unit. So people are oh, they're 12%. It's well, they had a storefront. It wasn't like Abomination. I don't think Abomination ever had a storefront.
Yeah.
I certainly would have gone. I was still up there at that point. I certainly would have gone to Abomination if they had a storefront. But
yeah,
I don't think they ever did. I'm pretty sure of it because I never heard of it. I went to a lot of Connecticut breweries and I never heard of it on Abomination storefront.
So I'll give you another selection here. If I gave you 5 taps at a bar, what beer styles are you placing on the taps?
Styles.
You got 5 taps, so you can put 5 different beer styles on there.
Well,
it's gonna be your bar.
Yeah, this is tough because you also have to decide: are you going to put styles on there that are going to sell versus
wait a minute?
You really like?
You're breaking up there. I'm getting Mr. Roboto coming through.
Mr. Roboto.
There you go. Now you're back.
You have to.
Or it might have been Intergalactic too. It was one of them.
What was it? Psy. Shane's Psy song. I can't think of a stupid song. Oh shit. What song is that?
Intergalactic Beastie Boys?
No. I was thinking of Psy's song that Shane sang. Oh my god, I got the name of that song. The little Korean guy.
We got Wang Chung.
What? No, not Wing Chun. Oh my God.
Did he sing karaoke with it?
Yeah, he did sing karaoke.
Oh, you're talking about the Korean dude. You're talking about
Yeah,
Whoop 'em
Psy.
Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style. Thank you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Whoop 'em
Yeah.
Gangnam Style. Sorry. All right, sorry, I get distracted. Okay, 5 taps at a bar, and then like they got to think like the styles that are going to sell versus styles I like.
I mean, it's your bar, so I'm just asking what 5 styles would you put onto it?
You know what? I would put a Dortmunder on it.
Okay.
Because I would need a lager. I think that's a very approachable lager, and I think it's a lager that's got a lot of flavor. So I think that would be something that would be a good entry level type of beer.
Okay.
For people that may not be beer fans, they may not be craft fans, but it may be like a gateway drug of sorts.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, jury's out.
Not in a bad way where Nancy Reagan shows up. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely need an IPA. I definitely would want an IPA.
West Coast, I take it.
I don't know if I would put a West Coast on it. That would almost be like a rotating tap. Like if I rotated a tap, well, actually, I probably wouldn't want to do that because the lines would be contaminated instantly. But if I rotated a tap between a West Coast IPA and a sour, but that would probably be a terrible idea, logistically speaking. I would put on a hazy. Definitely put on a hazy. Maybe a hazy pale.
Hazy pale. Okay.
Hazy pale. So it's still kind of light and approachable, but still has all like kind of the orange and citrus and pineapple notes, those such a thing. Okay, so I'll go Dortmunder. I'll go hazy pale. I want something dark.
I like you're all about getting something dark in everything you're doing. I need something dark.
Yeah. I'm only white on the outside, Rod. Sorry. Oh, I know what I put on dark. I do a black IPA.
Oh, there you go.
Black IPA. And I know that's probably not the best business strategy to put 2 IPAs on, but I think that kind of bridges the gap in terms of like getting something dark where I don't have to have a stout that's going to annihilate the clientele.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also something that still gets that note, so it's not your typical crispy or hophead beer. So I go, yeah.
Stouts?
I go back and forth between black IPA and black lager. I don't know which one I really like more.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a black IPA.
Oh, black lager is going to be black lager would be more smoother than a black IPA, which might have a little more of a hoppy bite.
I actually haven't found that as I haven't found black IPAs to have that much of a bite.
Yeah.
They kind of have like a piney sensation to an otherwise.
Yeah, you get the pine. Yeah. Beer. Yeah. But keep in mind, hoppy's not the same as bitter though either. So it can have like a little hop bite, but not be bitter.
And those like California West Coast are what had to change my opinion to that.
Yeah.
More than any hazy I've ever had. Yeah, I'm gonna go black IPA though, just because it's more it's different. Like a black lager is still a lager at the end of the day. Okay, so I go Dortmunder, I go hazy pale, I go black IPA. I want to do something sour. But do I want like a burl? I would do a pastry sour.
Okay.
Pastry sour. Okay. Yeah, I definitely do pastry sour because that would kind of bridge the gap towards the I don't like beer people. So I do the pastry sour next. And then for the last one, For the last one, something kooky. I'm gonna go back to our previous conversation. I'm gonna go with the Roch.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. That would be
If you can
interesting.
get through these other 4 beers, I will serve you that one.
Yeah. That would be pretty interesting. That would be definitely more the more eccentric mixes of beers, I think. Which I like. Don't get me wrong. So
yeah.
Again, I'd be fine with that bar myself. So yeah.
Well,
But it's funny.
It's funny. Like, I don't want to put anything too high grav on because I don't want to turn people away from coming back. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would put a double IPA or a triple IPA on, because if somebody comes in and they want an IPA and they drink one of those, they might be one and done.
Yeah, I think with something like that, you want to have more than 5 taps, because you have to have some taps you can experiment on. So if you're limited, not having like a double IPA wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. Funny thing is, like you mentioned, like you said, the stouts, because you annihilated. Funny thing they're finding out now, more women are actually preferring stouts to actually drink ever than before. So there's an opportunity for stout beers actually out there. The other thing was with the surge in the NA beer, he didn't put an NA beer on the tap either, which you probably weren't even thinking about an NA beer.
Well,
but if you're running a bar, that might be something of an opportunity.
If there's NA options, I'll put them in the cooler.
Well, there you go. Yeah. You talk with Go Brew and they'll send you the stuff. You can put it out there for once. Yeah. You don't have to worry about words. Don't waste your tap on it. Get someone else to do it for you.
Exactly. It's funny you said that, because I've noticed a couple times just being fly on a wall while I'm out in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple will walk up to the bartender and they'll each order a beer, and they'll each order a different beer. And I've noticed the woman will make the more craftier order than the guy will. Like the more often than not, the guy will order the typical haze craze, what's your hazy? Okay, I'll have that. And the girl will order either some outside the box lager, or something dark, or sometimes they'll still order a sour. But like, to me, like it's weird when like you're into the craft game, and it's like when someone orders a lager, that's my people, So it's like when someone orders a hazy, okay, whatever, you're a basic bro. But like you notice like the basic order, they'll walk up and they'll order the hazy, and then when someone walks up and orders a lager, you're like, all right, you're my people.
It's all observation, right? Seeing what people are actually drinking out there. What was I going to ask you? Oh, I was going to ask you, so what have you learned now that you wish you would have knew when you started your YouTube channel?
Make a shorter intro.
Intro, that does come into play, right? So intros, because Shane always teases me about not teasing me. He says, I know you're not a big fan of intro. Like, I've experimented with the intros and all the stuff for me and for the people I prepare the video stuff for. Like, the intro seems to drag down the beginning, so I don't put the intros anymore into it.
Yeah,
I've experimented with some stuff, maybe like doing it something in the middle, and it's just. And people comment, they like that I get right into stuff. So
it's such a hard decision for me to figure out what to do for that, because I like seeing creative cinematography.
Right.
But when it's something like beer that is so niche, if somebody's going to watch your shit, I agree that the viewer probably wants you to get into it.
Yeah.
And like, even when we're sitting there, we're sitting there and we're reading the can. Okay, oh, here's the title, and here's where it's from, and here's the ABV, and obviously this is an IPA, but what hops are in it and all that fun stuff. Like, even that, like, I'm sitting in my head like, all right, pick up the freaking pace, because like I feel like most people that would be newcomers to the channel, they want to know what you actually think of the beer. And we're over here in a more creative space, like look at the cool artwork and look what's in the beer and that sort of thing. And most people are probably never gonna find that beer in their local package store. No, most people are probably never going to see that beer, so they probably just want us to get, cut to the chase, no pun intended, and and just talk about the beer. So I don't know, like, but it feels like also even in the craft, with all the diversity we have in the styles, it's still a beer. So it's like, I feel like all the extra details, what hops are in it. Look at the cool can, the name, if it's a pop culture reference to something, like all that kind of adds to the attractiveness of that beer,
Right.
And if it's like a hazy IPA, like how many hazy IPAs can you have? A hazy is a hazy is a hazy. Now there's going to be some variances, some things will be more pineapple and some things will be more grapefruit, or some things will be more orange, so like there's that, but it's still either orange, pineapple, or grapefruit, so like it's still kind of the same vein, a different vein of the same beer. So like all those little random extra stuff that fluff up the personality of the brewery or the beer or the can, like to me, like that stuff matters. So it's so hard to like find a happy median where you get into the meat of the beer right away, but you also still give the extra frilly stuff its due.
Yeah. Well, it's a balance act, right? And that's why, for people that are doing YouTube, say YouTube's like, here's your analytics. So when you go back and you look at your video, let it run for a few days, and you go back and do your analytics on it, you can see where people kind of drop off or pay attention or how it actually rolls through. And then you just say, do I want to still put that in there? Do I want to change it up? You learn as you go. So that's why I asked that question, because if you're doing it now, you should be picking up things that you learn now that you didn't learn back then. Like I had one person, I think that might have been like, they didn't feel like they really did anything different. I'm like, well, that might be why you're stuck a little bit though, too, right? Because you're not learning from what you're actually doing, because there's all these different things that YouTube will provide to you, will help you along the way.
And a lot of it is one thing I think I would probably do different is my like production style. So like I am a big proponent of not having one static shot, just because if people are watching it, they're just watching you. So like when I first started it, I would do my cold open somewhere outside the house, and then I would come into the desk and I talk about the beer, and then I transition back to outside where I'd pop it open, and then I transition to another shot somewhere else where I'd pour it in the glass, and then I transition to another shot back to the desk where I'd talk about it, smell it, drink it, that sort of thing. And with that, like I've found like, and I was gonna bring that style back once I got into the new place. And I realized like that's a lot of work to put in, and I could turn the videos around a lot faster. Now, granted, I'm sitting on like 8 reviews that I have to edit, but like I can turn these around a lot faster if I just do the cold open and then I just shoot the whole thing in front of the camera, and it's a lot less work on my end to turn a video around. Now, granted, you get into a rhythm, and you're like, okay, bump, 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 bump. Like lay out the videos here, cut it here, fade it into there, so you get into a rhythm with it regardless of what you're doing. But I also can recognize the fact like I'm putting in a lot of effort and it's still the same video, you know what I mean? So like let me just focus on one shot, and I do some differently. I put graphics on the screen, I do the cold open, whatever, and I can just turn around faster.
Yeah, put that in. Robert asks, why do people hate on IPA? Well, I don't think either of us here are going to hate on IPA drinkers. There's different IPA styles and stuff, but I don't know. I don't really see people hating on IPA drinkers as much, unless it's something where there's like there's some pretentiousness in play.
He probably thought where I called them all basic bros.
Well, no, you were just talking about like, with everybody like the hazy IPA or whatever, but there used to be a time where it was like where people saw the IPA drinkers as being pretentious, like you come to this craft beer bar and you order a Coors Light when you got all these IPAs, like, but I don't know if that's still out there. I don't know if you still see that as much nowadays.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we're probably not going to review the show now because it's coming up to the finale, and I'm only about 2.5 seasons in. But there was the show SEAL Team.
Oh, okay.
And when they drink a beer, they just drink standard macros, right? And there was one particular scene in I think the second season, and they were ordering a bunch of. They was like, well, we have to order a bunch of beer because the main character's wife died in a car accident. So it's like, well, we gotta get beer for the I don't want to call it it's not really a party, but whatever the
like a tribute or something or a farewell thing.
Yeah, like the post-wake gathering, whatever that is. It's like, oh well, we got to get beer to have, and he says, just make sure you don't get that fancy micro shit. Get beer, but don't get that fancy micro crap. And I feel like because when craft got onto the scene, everyone needed an IPA.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that probably didn't necessarily dive into craft for the diversity of craft, they always just go out and order an IPA. So when you see someone out in the wild and they just order an IPA, you're like, oh well, you're just trying to look cool, but you're not really into this. You're just going to order an IPA because you think it's going to make you look like one of the boys,
Right.
Well, I mean, if there's any hate on IPA drinkers, it's probably just that. Because whenever somebody orders one, you kind of look at them like, do you really craft, bro?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But
impress me when you order the Rosh beer.
Yeah.
Impress me when you order the Berliner Weiss, like
I would love to see that on tap somewhere. So I've never seen rock beer on tap, but that'd be cool if it was. So we're like at 2 hours. Are you still good right now for a little bit more, or?
Oh, I'm good. Let's go. I got 2 more in here.
Well, I'm not going to do 2 more because I got to get up early. I'm going to do one more, but one more I'm going to do is a pretty big one. So, so I'm going to actually crack this one open for the Bourbon Barrel Rye. It is from Great Lakes. I mentioned it earlier. It's limited edition, 11.6% ABV. Don't know how many of these are still out there, but it was a nice little find at my little store this weekend. So I'll crack that open here in a second.
Okay.
But I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you. So, what has being a part of the beer community meant to you most? You think? Like, is there any?
A lot of it is because, I mean, as you could probably guess, since we've met in person, I'm kind of a social, bubbly person.
I never got that about you.
No, of course not. And
somebody needs to get him out of his shell over there.
Yeah. And a lot of it is because I moved, and I left a lot of my friends I was hanging out with and knew for a vast majority of my life. I left all them back in Connecticut, so I kind of just needed to forge a new social life. And I never would have guessed that this venture, whether it's Instagram and TikTok, whether it's YouTube, whatever the case may be, I would have never guessed that I would have actually met people to hang out with through it. So that's like a lot of my motivation of keeping up with it, because I just love people. I just love hanging out with people and bonding over stuff. So it's, I mean, maybe it would be nice if we were bonding over something that didn't add to my waistline, but it's still,
right?
it's still just fun to do. And I found that with the amount in the world today that is so divisive for all of us, it's nice to just have something simple that we can bond over and then get to know each other and then, kind of feel out each other's personalities.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to, when there is something that you disagree with for someone about it, the disagreement doesn't matter,
Right.
because you've already bonded over this one thing and then maybe found another 2 or 3 things that you can bond over. So that one disagreement, it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, we may not see eye to eye on this, but that person, that's still a good fucking dude, or that's still a good fucking girl. Sorry to swear. You may have to beat me on the edit later. You know what I mean?
If you've seen the Thursday night live stream, you're pretty much in safe territory. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, the Thursday night live stream is usually like an extra 2 hours in by now.
Yeah. So I poured this beer and the head dissolved pretty much instantly, which tells me, I'm getting all that 11 plus ABV on this one here. And it doesn't come with.
Whoop, you dropped out for a second. Uh-oh. Your audio dropped out.
Yeah, my bad. Hit the mic. Oh. It's got a nice reddish brown hue. I got all kinds of stuff happening here, but it's a nice looking beer. But there's
some clarity on that.
Yeah, the head there's too much alcohol in here. We're not even going to try to give you a head on this one.
Hey, that's what you said.
Don't do that while I'm holding a glass of beer, Chase.
I went with my festive selection, which I was kind of looking forward to IPA, but if this is our last beer, I'll go 'tis the season.
There you
go. And I actually had this last night. I stopped at 13 Stripes on the way out, and this was one of the first places I stopped at when I moved down here because I'm a little bit of a history buff, and I love American history. So when I saw the name of it, of course it doesn't show up on the camera. 13 Stripes. It's pretty obvious
right.
What's the name. What that is reference to. And I found this was really cool because they name their beers after like particular early colonial legends.
Right, right.
And they always put like a story on the side of the can too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a lot of reading though.
Oh yeah, not on the camera. I could probably read it. Off camera, but yeah, I'm not gonna hold it up to the camera and be able to read it. So this is their Oktoberfest. It's called Von Steuben.
Von Steuben. Was it Martin von Steuben?
Martin von Steuben?
I think it was. I'm thinking of Von Steuben was somebody important. I think of Martin von Steuben. I'm trying to think back to history class, but I remember I thought it was Von Steuben.
Well, I'll tell you right now because I can shine. Oh, geez, sorry, I didn't realize that.
That's all right. It's not a laser. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm blind.
Here's to Baron Frederick Wilhelm von Steuben, one of the fathers of the Continental Army. He literally wrote the book. Wait, what? Maybe I can't read it. He literally wrote the book of order and discipline for the American Army, called the Blue Book. It was the first drill manual used by the U.S. military. A veteran of the Prussian military, he trained the Continental Army from a disorganized, ill-disciplined collection of men to rival even the best European professional armies of the time. His contribution to the American military and its organization has left a lasting legacy of excellence and professionalism in today's armed forces.
And that was Frederick Wilhelm von Steuben, right? Yeah, I was looking at this thing here. Born in Germany. Died in Utica, New York, age 64. Which actually 64 back in 1794. That's a long life.
That's like 90 today.
Yeah, right. He died of a stroke. But I think I did study. I said Martin, but I think Von Steuben was something we had in our history studies back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah. When you said the Continental Army, that kind of brought that back though too. But that was so long ago.
You might be able to see me through this.
Yeah.
You can see my thumb.
That's almost not too much of a shade like off of this one here too.
Your stout, Scott, does have some clarity to it. I was a bit surprised.
Well, it's a bourbon barrel rye ale. It's 11.6% ABV. Got some booziness in there, but you don't get like the barrel aging as much. So I'm not getting much oakiness or anything like that, or the whiskey.
Oh,
it's got like I don't know if you'd be a huge fan of it because it's almost like a barley wine Christmas ale type blend. So I'm getting some of the flavors coming out of the barley wine, dark fruits and stuff like that, but it's also got like a little bit of that Christmas winter type feel around it too.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. But
I thought you meant from like the dark fruit perspective.
Almost like what do you call it? The rum cake type feel.
The bricks.
And I'm surprised, body wise, is actually thinner than I would expect it to be.
Thinner.
It's thinner, but it's not watery. It's thinner. It's thin, but it's not watery. And it's got like the body just kind of lays and goes down on really easy down the throat, but lays on your tongue. It's just like there's not much bite really to it, but you get a little bit of the heat from the alcohol in the chest. Like you could almost sip through this pretty much too quick, and if you get a 4-pack, you'll be on your ass probably, depending what your tolerance level is. So it's kind of sneaky in how it does that, but it is pretty smooth.
I don't think anyone has the tolerance to go through a 4-pack of a barrel-aged beer.
Have you met me, Chase? Have you met me? I can't do them all now because I got to do a review one, but it's different though. I'm getting a little slight oakiness. There's almost like a little bit of it's not cherry, but it's very similar to like a cherry-like fruit in there. See, I'm not a huge fan of fruits. So I don't usually eat a lot of them outside your bed. I mean, I have some, like we go out of country. I like, we went to Jamaica and we went to Dominican all the time. So I have like mango or something like that, guava and stuff like that. People, passion fruit, but it's kind of like there's some other fruits in here I'm not usually used to having, but I could tell it's like a fruit type thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the raisiny type feel, so I'm okay with that. It's got like a little bit, the rye has a little bit of a cinnamon type touch to it. Cinnamon. I don't know if that's a word or not, but I'm going to go with it. Cinnamon. I could say cinnamon like, but I think cinnamon is better than cinnamon like.
It's like it's like an enemy. See an enemy. I like the spice kick of rye. I do like rye. I like barley wines because the booziness almost balances out any kind of dark fruit flavor that would not mesh with me. But I do like I do like barley wines because of that. It's kind of like if there's a quad that I don't like, it's a higher alcohol percentage that would make it more palatable to me, which I know doesn't make a lick of sense.
Yeah.
Why would that make sense? Boozier? More palatable? No.
Smoother.
Yeah. But the like real talk, like I think that sometimes the higher gravity something is, the smoother it gets.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that it can be. You're right. Yeah.
I've noticed some triple IPAs that are incredibly smoother than your regular single IPA, or sometimes even, well, not so much a hazy pale, but sometimes a hazy pale. Like your single IPAs, which will be very piney, very bitter, and then your triple IPA, which for whatever reason, it's just the booziness overpowering everything else. I don't know, but that comes off way more smoother.
Well, you think to get to the double or the triple, you're raising the malt base because that's what's going to create the higher alcohol, right? Yeah. So you're taking, when you'd raise that up, that has an offset to kind of the bitterness. That's why some people can drink a double IPA and enjoy it more than a single IPA.
Yeah.
That extra maltiness does something in there. And then the hops become more of the aroma than they do as part of the taste. They kind of get tempered down because of the maltiness there.
Which to me, a lot of times, what can save a beer in my eyes is the aroma.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of times
I love a good aroma in a beer. Yeah.
There's a lot of times where the flavor to me is pretty standard, or it's just kind of like run of the mill. Like, yeah, I've had this beer a dozen times before, but the aromatics are so unique or so distinct. Like, okay, like this smells like someone's like, okay, it smells like pineapple, whatever. But like when it actually smells like the juice in the bottle of a can of canned pineapple.
Yeah.
Or I've used it several times in a review where I'm trying to liken it to those little plastic fruit cups that you would have as a snack in elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
Those little like peach chunks or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like, it smells
peach,
like that.
pineapple. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the syrup base or whatever. Yeah.
Like, so it's not like it just smells like peach or just smells like pineapple. Like, it actually smells like this specific thing, you know?
Yeah. I was holding up there. I was trying to see the date on the can, but it had 2024, but it didn't give me the month or day because I feel like this might have been when it came out maybe around February or so. Now, when I got it, I was kind of looking on some of the top. People were still drinking, obviously. I mean, you could drink this for a while with the ABV and the style that it is, but with that little mix of kind of that barley wine, Christmas type feel, I feel like that was like a January, February maybe type beer. I don't know. Great Lakes does some crazy things when they come out with some of their beers. Like right now, they come out with Nosferatu, which is like their double red ales. If you ever chance to see Nosferatu, if you're a red ale fan, that's a beer you want to try to get. And then it came out with I think their Chill Wave just came out, which is their double imperial, which is a great double IPA they do. So
I'm weird with reds, like a regular red ale. I'm fine with it, but I don't necessarily love them.
Yeah.
But like red IPA, which I know an IPA is an ale, but like a red IPA, which is like a little different, something like that, I'll usually run to pretty quickly because one, they're uncommon. Two, it's kind of like a black IPA where you get the maltiness and the hoppiness, and they kind of play nice together. So I'm funny with reds.
Yeah.
There's some of them that I really love, and there's some of them that I could do without.
And sometimes that just goes to the brewer, right? So you got a little bit of a difference on who's making it, how they're doing it. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask you, so from everything that you kind of learned since doing everything in the beer, if there's anything you could change about the beer industry, what would it be? If there's anything that comes to mind, like I think one of the things we talked about in the past, when some of the other ones have been like people were like, I would mandate like dates to be on everything, or ABV is like because some stuff you don't have stuff like some cans you still have ABVs on showing on some cans, right? Like there's different things, but it could be also distribution. Like everybody like in the UK, they can go online and order beer from all around the country, but yet here we have to go to the different states. I mean, so anything that kind of you think that if you had the chance to change things about beer, what would they be?
One, I would like to see the package stores have to keep all craft cold.
Okay.
Because you have macros which are undrinkable warm, but they're also intentionally skunked, so there's little to no variance drinking a Bud Light to a Bud Light to a Bud Light. As opposed to craft, when it's warm, it obviously sours and then it gets older and then it's not as good. Whereas you keep it cold, at least you can kind of stretch it out a little bit. So definitely shift the kind of priority of what goes in the cooler to craft versus against the macro.
Yeah.
Now
you're saying that with the craft, like some stores they'll have styles in the cooler, But outside the cooler, they'll have like some of your like bigger ABV, like stouts or port. With those ones, if it's kept at a decent temperature inside, like say the temperature of the room like 60 degrees, I think you can maybe you can stretch those out there because those you could drink cellar temperature anyway.
Yeah, and the darks, and that's true. The dark stuff you can get away with, but they're like your Total Wines, your bottles. Greens, which is a local spot down here. I mean, bottles could be too. I don't know how national bottles is, but those are the three big ones around here: Greens, Total Wine, and
where
bottles.
They put them out. Yeah, I've seen it. Total Wine. Yeah,
and like they'll put all the craft just out room temperature, and it'll be IPAs and lagers. I know a lager you can get away with a little bit too, because the whole point of a lager is to let it sit anyway. As far as the brewing process is concerned. But like to me, you shouldn't treat, regardless of regardless of how old it is, you shouldn't treat an IPA like a dark beer because it's not
right.
going to last. Yeah.
Versus
your ultras and your Miller Lights, like that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You buy a 30 rack, you throw it in the cooler. You buy a 30 rack, you throw it in your cooler for a party. It gets cold enough, you're good. Nobody's gonna hurt you.
The Mac with cardboard is cardboard, so you're good.
Cardboard is cardboard.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. And PSA for anybody that shops at Total Wine, always make sure to check the dates because I found them notoriously bad on dates on the beers they put out there.
And I found it interesting because I went to Bottles to grab some stuff for this one, and this is the one we're not going to get to. Mm-hmm. And liability, the last time I grabbed a few liabilities and to Dave, they put the dates right in the can. And I'm looking all over on this one for it. I'm like, where the hell's the date? Where the hell's the date? Because that lager I drank before, the date's on the bottom, and it was last December.
Yeah.
And I wasn't super concerned because it's a lager, even though it was at room temperature. A lager is a lager is a lager. So I wasn't super concerned about that. But I was still looking for the date on this IPA. And I know that this particular brewery has put the dates on the can before. So I'm like, where the hell is the dates? Like, I don't know if it was under the
wonder if it got smudged off or something.
Yeah. But this was the one we weren't going to get to, which is funny because I have extra appropriate glassware.
Oh, the pumpkin for the festive.
No. This is the festive. This is the Oktoberfest.
That's pumpkin, right? Pumpkin. Okay, it's orange. Okay.
Yeah, this is their flagship IPA. Mortal Wombat.
I have one of the Wombat beers. Did I do the review? I did the review. I haven't posted it yet because did I post a review of the Wombat?
No,
I took a picture of it.
It was on your Thursday.
Did I drink it?
It was the cold IPA.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did a review on it yet, though. I mean, I think I did the review. I think I did the review, but I didn't post it. But I thought I may have shared it.
You shot her. I remember you drink. Oh wait,
I don't think I drank. I think I had a picture of it or something. I remember you saying. I was wondering who got that. Let me look at my file here to edit. They keep a library of stuff to edit here.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the soccer beer. That was the one you drank on the live.
The Arctic Wombat. I actually have. I haven't released that one yet. That was liability. I haven't released that video yet. Okay. Yeah. I've got a collection of stuff I need to get done at some point here.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Yeah. And I still got one big Niagara Falls thing I'm going to put together as a grand coup de grace, like all kinds of extra footage on stuff. I just haven't done it yet. I got to put that together and get that out.
Oh yeah, I do. I haven't even gone through this stuff. I've unloaded them all onto my hard drive, so they're there and they're safe. But I haven't digged through that. I got to work on that too. Because you
still got the review that we did. I think you haven't released yet.
I haven't released any reviews that I did with anyone. But I feel like those are something I really need to put effort into. So while I'm still kind of getting the house ready, I kind of like need to like only focus on the Niagara beers to get that because I have to defend this bad boy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Niagara, funny thing.
I have to defend this. The Chicago one was what won me this award, so I need
mine is up there. You can't see with the mic, but there's mine. Mine is up on the ledge where it belongs. I mean, it's a fan favorite. I don't know. is the fan favorite the most cherished category? Because once you're fan favorite, where do you go from there?
That's like, yeah, it's like the best actor, right?
I'm not a threat for the best intro. I can give you that. That's yours to repeat right there. Though I think Shane wants to get that one at some point here.
Shane does want to get that one.
Yeah. So I got that footage I got to put together and stuff. It's just, you know how it is. It's just tough, just like the time and stuff like that to do things. So
right, especially when you want to put effort into things. You know, you want to put effort in and make it something special. You don't want it to be something you just whip up and like, okay, the first 5 clips of B-roll, I'm going to use that for the intro because there could be something really nice somewhere there, or there could be something you remember that someone else shot. I'm like, yo, Alan, send me this because I know that's on your phone. You know what I mean?
So one of the things here before we head to probably a wrap up at some point because we're getting to that 2.5 mark. Your channel.
I know.
No, you're fine. You're good on your end. You're good on your end. So I always like to make sure everybody's comfortable. We got time and stuff. So I'm still fine in there. I always build in space for stuff. So this has been awesome having you on. But as far as your channel, anything that you want to mention about upcoming things, things that you're working on, things that you're bringing to the channel, you want people to kind of know about, projects, things like that. Like what's coming up with Nutmeg2Palmetto?
On the beer front, definitely be on the lookout for whenever I get to work on the Niagara videos. On the Sunday Scaries front, obviously football season just started, so there's nothing super special. We do 2 shows a week, unless there's some particularly special Monday or Thursday game. We usually
you guys do a double. You do a double header last night.
We did not do a show for doubleheader, fortunately, because one game was awful and the other game was the Cincinnati going to 0-3, which is just, I don't even know how that's feasibly possible.
My office that I work for, they're in Cincinnati, so on our call, we had a meeting today or whatever, and somebody had said something, and I was like, no, the people in Cincinnati aren't probably feeling good right now. One of my man was like, he was like, easy, Rod, tread lightly.
Tread lightly, yeah. So I mean, Sunday Scaries is 2 shows a week for pre and post. We do Thursdays and Sundays. Not to step on your toes, but that's just when we do the pregame show. And so there's that. So I mean, once the playoffs get going, then we'll start doing more. We'll start doing last year we did a live after every game. So it's still early in the season. So unless there's a really special Monday or Thursday night, or we probably won't do too much more outside our norm. Red and Red, that got going with season 2. I'm starting to do more shorts, kind of like what you were doing with when you cut things out of your stuff. Oh, yeah, I know
JT.
that guy.
Yeah, cheers, JT.
I met him in Chicago. I know that guy.
Yeah, JT's a great guy. Great guy. Yeah, I've known JT for a number of years now. He's been a super fan of the channel.
Really?
Good friend. Yeah, we got together in Chicago. We had some beers and food, and then a couple times that I've been up there. Okay. So yeah, he's on the list. When I call him up there, I let him know. We get together.
Solid. Yeah. So I mean, Red and Red get going on season 2. We'll probably do a live weekly reaction once Yellowstone comes back.
Yellowstone. I do like Yellowstone.
Yeah, and everything. All our shows are pre-produced. So we don't do too many lives, but we will do live reaction shows after Yellowstone, and we do live reaction shows after award season.
Okay.
So those will be in whatever January, February, whatever.
Did you guys do it? Did you guys do an episode recently for the Emmys a few weeks ago or anything?
Not the Emmys, and it was funny because for some reason I had in my head that they were the Globes, and I'm like, well, they did the Globes in January last time around. Why are they doing them in September? It didn't even dawn on me because here I am always worked in sports, and everyone always got all amped up around this time of the year for the sports Emmys. I didn't even process that they were the same Emmys.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like they moved up the Globes, like we did a show in January for the Emmys, and I didn't even think there was a completely different. Whatever, it is what it is. But no, well, the other reason why we didn't do a show for the Emmys is because a lot of the shows up for nomination were the shows that were up for nomination back in January for the Globes and not the Oscars, obviously. The SAGs, that's the other.
Yeah.
They were the same shows that were up for nomination for the Globes and the SAGs. So we're like, well, it doesn't really. One, we're just starting the new season, so let's not try to do another live and right now. And two, they're all the same shows. Well, not all, but most of them are the same shows we talked about in January. So, like, if they win again, they're just.
But you had a record setting for one of the best shows on TV right now. And if you're not watching it, I'm going to be shocked. You don't know what show it is?
Best shows on TV right now.
I'll give you a hint. Show is part of the title.
Show is part of the title. Wait. Not. Show is part of the title.
Yeah. What? Shogun.
Oh, Shogun. Well, Shogun. Well, we already did a review on Shogun.
But Shogun set the record for the most Emmys ever for a show.
It should, and I mean, but it'll come back. I mean, it's still going to be part of the Globes and the SAGs for January because it was this year. It was 2024. Yeah. So I mean, we'll definitely cover that on those awards. It's just the Emmys is like an overlap. It's a weird part of the year where it's like overlap between last year and this year.
Yeah.
So like Shogun to me should be included in the winter's award releases. You know what I mean?
For when January comes, well, they'll probably get a Golden Globe nomination, but obviously, but Shogun, it was Shogun and the Bear. I still haven't watched the Bear yet, but my wife loves that show. She watches it when it's on.
Yeah,
I don't have time to catch all the shows, but Shogun is one. Shogun is literally a show that I watch every time, and then each next episode was better than the last one.
It did have a gradual. It did have a gradual build. It was a little granular to start with, but once you kind of got the feel for the pacing and the timeline, every episode did get better.
Yeah,
I loved Mariko. I'm so happy she won an award.
Yeah, she was awesome. And the lead guy, he was like, I've seen him in so many things over the years, and see him win that was awesome. And then like, I was sad that one guy didn't win one because I'm like, I don't want to spoil for anybody that hasn't seen Shogun, but it's like, I know he won't be back, right? Because of what happened, unless it's a flashback type thing. But it was just such good acting all the way around from all the different parts and stuff. So
that's it. And that was the thing. That was another reason why we didn't cover the Emmys, is because it was shows like Shogun being honored at the same time as shows like Succession, which were last year. So it's like this, like Succession already got their love. Like this is like this should be Shogun's time. So this shouldn't have to share the stage with, and like the Bear, like they were honoring the Bear for the previous season, not the one that just came out 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the Emmys just comes up at a weird time of the season.
I'll be interested in seeing the Golden Globes industry gets recognized, but the industry has been a great show on Max and HBO. And like with Succession now going, I think that could be the show that people get drawn into. It's been pretty intense on a lot of their episodes. It's like basically investment banking, but it's like based out of the UK, and the cast has been awesome on it. And so I know
I've heard of it. I haven't gotten into it, but I have heard of it. But to your point, you're probably right as far as Succession taking up all the oxygen in the room. So with them, I mean, I think industry, you'll get a lot of looks and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But I don't watch award shows as much, but I catch them here and there. So I saw Shogun was up for all the awards. I kind of watched some of it because I want to see like the main people we talked about, if they got nominated and they won and stuff. So Shogun deserved every bit of it, because that was it was such a artistically beautiful show too.
Oh yeah.
Like it wasn't like the acting was obviously phenomenal, but it was a very pretty show too. You know, it was shot very, very nice.
Yeah, it was well done for sure. But no, so you got good stuff coming up on your channel there. Anything else, like, you know, any goals and stuff you got? Like, what do you ultimately want to do with the channel? Like, do you see, like, obviously a lot of times you ask people, well, I want to get to 1,000 subs, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, is there goals like you have? Like, what are you trying to?
I don't put a number on it because
Mhm.
I would like this. I would like the channel to be, because I'm not someone that I've never been someone that kind of plays the game, so to speak, in the corporate world. And I think after, you know, what's happened in my life recently, I think that's very clear that that's never going to be me. So to me, like, if I could turn this into something that is profitable and could support me, that would be the ideal path for me. And I think that's why I'm trying to branch the channel out into different areas, because, and I know people say, like, hey, you know, when you put yourself in too many different places, the algorithm doesn't know what to do with you. I understand. I get that. I understand that. But like, to me, that's what, like, I would want the channel to be like its own corporation, so to speak, where there's different verticals under the brand.
Yeah.
You know, where maybe there's, in the future, maybe there is a news and politics vertical where creators, you know, exist in that space under the brand, you know, and then the film and TV thing continues, and the sports thing continues, and, you know, maybe the beer is kind of just like my little side passion project or whatever. And I excuse me. And I branch out into a fitness vertical and that sort of thing. So maybe that transitions to a website function where it's like a blog space where people can post content that's health related, that sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I would like the brand to exist in a space that does have all these different offshoots. For regardless of what your interest is, you can come to Nutmeg2Palmetto, whatever it is, YouTube or a website, a dedicated website, or whatever it is. You can come there and you can find something that is interesting to you, that is specific to you. You know, like you can find some content that adds some kind of value to the audience member's life. That would be my ultimate goal, and to run it like a business. And have it be something that's profitable, something that's monetized, and not necessarily monetized in the sense of, you know, taking a chunk off the tree of the YouTube money, but, you know, self-generated revenue as well. Like that would be my goal, to be so self-serving to so many. Well, I don't. That's obviously not a good word to use, but so like serving to all these different sects of society, that you can come to this place on this crazy internet and find something that's appropriate to what you want, whether it's culture, whether it's film, whether it's sports, whether it's food and bev, whatever the case may be.
Got you. Yeah, I actually forgot I should have done this earlier, but I meant to I meant to share your channel there. I mean, I shared the stuff with your link and all that kind of stuff, but just looking at the channel, a lot of the good stuff that you're actually doing here.
Oh, Fresh Prince.
Right there, right?
That was such a fun video to put together.
Yeah.
My
Just all the work in this.
that was fun. Yeah.
All the work and the stuff that you're putting into the channel here and the different videos. You're definitely getting a lot of good stuff happening out there. Let me scroll down here. You know, this is the Red and Red real reviews and the beer videos and the different things that are taking place there. So,
hey, there's our,
nice.
Our
it's true. Yeah. There's a Ravinia ensemble. Yeah. Which you do have like that the best probably album cover of beer tubers ever for that video that we did about Ravinia. That was probably what it. I'm like, that should be an album cover for sure. Right here it is. This should be an album cover in itself. Look at this. This is a crew right here. That was just awesome. I mean, look at that. It's like we're about to drop in and just start dropping rhymes like crazy.
It's
Like
like
look
a
at
Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah. What happens when you put beer tubers in a bank vault? Well, this is what happens. So,
Yeah. You get really loud and boisterous.
So lots of fun stuff for sure. And you just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're definitely building the stuff out there. You're building a brand. You're building a name. Everything picks up. It's kind of like it's easy for some people to get frustrated with YouTube, and it's like because it takes a matter of time to get things going. And they tell people, it only takes one. It only takes one to actually catch fire for you, and then all of a sudden you're getting noticed. But you don't know what that one is, right? So you have to keep driving and striving, and it's like you miss all the shots you don't take. So just keep taking shots. Just keep taking them.
That's the hardest battle to figure out how to fight is like to keep grinding and keep pushing what you're doing until you do hit that one video that takes off like a rocket.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, that's just the fate of what YouTube is. You keep, it's funny because on this channel, I have some that will take off here and there, but like on my reaction channel, I had some that took off like instantly. And it's just like, that's kind of crazy. Like I went in video reaction. It was all of a sudden, it was like 80,000 views on it. It's like, whoa, why has this got so many views? Like, and then the other ones don't have, it's just, you don't know what it is. It's just something's going to touch people when you actually do it. So,
and it's like, why? Like, why did it take off? Was it a clickbaity title? Was it it's just the content, the personality was that much more engaging than the other videos? Like why did this take off over everything else?
Yeah, and that's part of the things, and me and you and everybody else kind of in our crew, we talk different stuff about YouTube all the time. I tell people, like, when you see things happen, take advantage of it. So for me, it's kind of like, I tell people, if you're not using your community tab, you're missing an opportunity, because if you have a video take off, who's best to ask besides your audience? Put it out there. Say, hey, what did you like about this video? What made you maybe click or watch it or like that and everything? Get the feedback you need to get. There's so much opportunity that people are not taking advantage of. So there's always ways to always improve, and you're definitely doing everything like that. From our discussion tonight, you picked up a lot of good things and heading forward, and just keep doing what you're doing, brother. You're definitely on the right road for sure. So this guy, I'll tell you, like, me and him do a video. You haven't seen it yet. But me and him did a video. He's under directing me like I'm like Martin Scorsese or whatever. Like, I want you to come through the door this way and do this and do that. It was fun. It was good because it shows you were heartfelt about what you wanted to bring to your audience, and I think people will enjoy that about you.
I do, and I think stuff like that gives it like like an extra professional edge to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and for those of you listening back, because this will be on the podcast, make sure to check out Nutmeg2Palmetto on YouTube here. Anywhere else you want people to check you out at? Like
Instagram and TikTok, same name, Nutmeg2Palmetto. I've also launched I guess technically it's still in a soft launch phase, although I've kind of passed that. I just haven't gone into the format that I wanted, that I was anticipating going into, a month and a half ago. But on Facebook, I've launched a new brand called Nutmeg Eats, which is specifically food related. So it's Nutmeg2Palmetto on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Rumble. And then on Facebook, there is the Nutmeg brand page, but also Nutmeg Eats, which is specifically food related. So I'm definitely trying to push Nutmeg Eats as well right now.
Are you going to do like beer pairings on Nutmeg2Palmetto, or maybe a Nutmeg Eats where you can kind of tie that in?
I think I will cross. I think that the plan was to do live blogs from restaurants, and just like really just showcase the food and give like a genuine real-time reaction to whatever dishes I order.
Okay.
And then to somehow like cross post, like cut out sizzle worthy material of that content and use it on the other platforms just as sizzle material. Because people I've noticed, TikTok kind of goes either way. TikTok's a weird beast, but Instagram, I've noticed that people don't necessarily go to Instagram for things that are in-depth discussion. They want something like eye-popping that is kind of sexy to the audience. So that'll just kind of be more of a, I'll show some highlights and hey, direct people to this, to X, Y, and Z to get a fuller discussion, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Learning which social media works to your best asset, right? Like for me, I always say Instagram's kind of like a show me social media, like just a show me type thing. X is like X, formerly Twitter, as people got to say, because everybody's like X, formerly Twitter. That's more like a tell me type thing, right? YouTube is like an explain to me. So you find where different things fit better, and then create your message around that. So just those little kind of tidbits. Yeah, you got to know.
Show me, tell me, and explain to me.
yeah, and figure out where Facebook is in the mix too. But I don't know if I feel like Facebook is out there, but Facebook is kind of like, I feel like
I found that, and this is why I'm trying to push the food thing on Facebook, because I found that the food community on Facebook is really engaging.
Okay.
I think
Brian and that's fine out too, and Dave, because they do some of their beer stuff in the food groups that have been helpful as well. So yeah.
I don't know if Facebook would be very effective for anything else that any of us kind of touch on.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of beer groups on Facebook. It's just, people on Facebook, I feel like, are on Facebook. They don't want to cross over maybe YouTube. So remember, if you're going to put on Facebook, then make your stuff for Facebook, right? So I do the live streams. I do everything as a YouTube exclusive. I'll share it later to Facebook and all that stuff. But if you want to actually interact, you have to come to YouTube for it. So.
And the other thing to remember is it's one thing to post a link on Facebook, but all you see is the thumbnail.
Right.
As opposed to actually cutting.
If you embed it,
Facebook.
Yeah. You can embed the video on Facebook, which is what they prefer over there. A few more steps to do that. Not really anything too hard, but it's just a matter of how you want to do it. So, but whatever it is, you find a way you want to go. It go that way. But the big thing is tell a good story, and I think people will listen, and you never know.
Tell a good story and be, I think, an authentic, engaging personality. Because nobody wants to watch somebody that's so over the top because they're just waiting for them to implode. And nobody wants to watch someone that's so dry that they fall asleep while they're watching the content.
Now that you got insomnia, maybe.
Exactly.
That's the key thing. Know your audience, right? So that being said, we'll go ahead and sign off here. If you want to hang out for a bit, Chase, we can hang out for a bit here too. Make sure to check out Nutmeg2Palmetto. Again, link right there in the top of the comments, pinned right there on your screen, scrolling across as well. Great guy. Got to meet him in person. We had a blast for a few days that we were in Niagara Falls. Everybody's looking forward to catching up with you in South Carolina next year when we get together. So that'll be another great time that I know we're going to have already. So, this is awesome. Glad you could actually be on here.
Hell yeah.
Give me a round of applause. And that being said, we'll go ahead and shut it down. Make sure you go check out Chase. Cheers, everyone, and thanks for swinging by. And if you're listening on the replay, appreciate you spending some time with us today or tonight or tomorrow. Whatever time it is when you hear this, we appreciate it. Cheers, everybody. That's good stuff.